What you are about to listen to is a thorough conversation of the various content released this year in Old School RuneScape 2025. If you want to support this show, please share your favorite episodes with your friends and like this episode. If you haven't already, consider subscribing. I mentioned this episode was thorough, not because of me, of course, but thanks to TravagGames, whose insight led this year in review of the various game updates to have a depth that I am proud of. Please, if you haven't already, subscribe to Travag for what I think is the best informative content in the RuneTube sphere. With that business out of the way, please enjoy the next 2.5 hours of two people who love RuneScape, reminiscing about the past year. Travag, thank you so much for joining me, taking time out of your night to spend talking and reminiscing about this past year, at least the way I have it set in that little itinerary that I have for us. I figure it's best to just go month by month. If we skip around, we skip around. But the first thing off the rip in January is run energy changes. And I actually, in order to study for this cast, I went back and watched your video because I knew that changes were definitely made and the game feels way easier. I look back at it. Maybe this is a hot take. Maybe it's a hot take, but I think the problem that existed that people didn't like still exists to a lesser extent. And then the game is just straight up easier at every other phase of the game. I don't know if I like the changes, especially with, they haven't done anything with Hollowed Sepulchre yet as far as the prime reward that you get for it.
Yeah, definitely. Run energy changes. So that happened in like 2 waves too, right? Because we had like a beta first, and then we had the actual release. And I covered both the beta, or the testing, I don't know what it was called at the time, and obviously the release. And there were like some obvious problems with the beta where it was like this wasn't landing, especially if you carried any amount of weight. It was not great.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways it was almost punishing you at certain levels.
Yeah. I think for like in-game content, it was certainly like you felt worse. Yeah.
Yeah, like you were draining quicker, but then you couldn't recover. So from the beta to what they launched with, way better. Like the launch itself was much better, and it is much better than it was before. Like no questions asked. I think it's a better run energy system, but I think the main area I wanted the run energy changes to really affect is the early game, and this change made it a little better, but it's still not too great. And when I was doing like testing of, early agility levels, and if you're carrying like 30 kilograms or something like that, it still wasn't great. So I think they could still in the future make the early game even better, because I still think it's a main frustration. In fact, I think a lot of the WoW players who would have joined after the run energy changes, when they were first playing the game, they still had problems with run energy, saying that that's a problem. So that's an indication that it wasn't solved.
Yeah.
So if they make further changes to make the early game better, that would be fantastic. It's still a step in the right direction, or a run in the right direction in this context.
Love it.
And and then in terms of late game activities, I mean, the use of staminas is definitely way less important, right? You're going to need it for certain content like Blast Furnace and stuff like that, where you're constantly running. But in some content, you're using a lot less. And my favorite example that I actually think is a positive is Chambers of Zarek. You can head into Ulm on like a solo, just non-scaled raid with 1 stamina, where before you might bring in 2, or you pre-pot and then go in with a full 1. So it's a lot more forgiving in there. And then in certain content, you really don't need it anymore like you used to. Sometimes there was content where you might use like 1 dose and it's like that's gone now. Or like even something like a solo Temporos, if you're having a bit of a bad run previously, you'd like run out of energy. That doesn't happen anymore. So it's a good thing, but also, stamina's got affected to some extent. Hollowed Sepulchre in some ways is affected with the ring. So yeah, but generally, I'm in favor of the change. I do think that they kind of missed the mark in terms of where they wanted to target it, but it's still positive overall.
Yeah, I would say, dude, if it was just the middle game and the early game, I would say it's definitely better. But it is weird, and maybe it's fine to have agility be a reward. And my thing that I can't quite test just because I am a maxed player. I think even when this update came out, I wasn't maxed yet, but my agility was still 90 plus. Like, would I be having my critique that I have if I weren't a player that has a really high agility level? Because it is nice objectively, like when you're training runecrafting at Zaya, and you don't have to have that awkward walk as you're like so close to the
Mhm.
end, but you have to like walk maybe those last 20 tiles or so. Like that's nice, but it is weird that I think the only like you don't use staminas for very much of anything. It's like really only skilling content like Blast Furnace. It is like much less. Like you don't use as many staminas at Blast Furnace.
Yeah.
So even then, like I kind of want to chalk that up to a victory. But I do kind of like that in a raid. You do have to think about what you're going to do with that inventory spot. That you do need to bring in this potion. Maybe that's not like maybe some people would just totally disagree. It's like this is totally a boring mechanic for me to engage with. I don't want to worry about run. Why can't I just be running all the time?
Yeah.
Value is subjective when it comes to that, as far as a taste issue, but this gets into a completely like vaporous thing of like it being RuneScape to me or being old school to me, where you have a run energy as a resource. So it's
You know,
pluses.
you brought up a point like I'm mentioning like chambers now. I'm basically bringing one less stamina than I did before, right? But it's like I do think that the agility levels mean more now. So it's kind of an interesting like mini reward space in some ways where it's maybe when I start chambers and I'm level 75 agility, I'm having to bring those,
Yeah.
3 staminas in or 2 staminas in. But okay, now I've pushed it to 85, 87 agility. Now I'm taking one less stamina than I had to before. I don't know if that's the reality of it because really, the first 40 levels, 50 levels, super easy to get. And then the last 10 or 10 15 are much harder and you're getting the same increase of power scale. But maybe that's the case in some ways where I think the levels are supposed to be more impactful now than they were before, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah. I'm
Overall,
completely open to it in my ignorance.
I think this change is a good change overall. Like I'd still give this like a pretty great update. I think they addressed a lot of the feedback from the beta. I had like side by side comparisons of beta versus non-beta, and it was like barely a difference, right? And it's
Yeah.
like compared to what we had and what they launched with, it's much better. But I do think that the like early game needs to be addressed. And in the future, we might see content where a stamina is going to be required and staminas will be more valuable again, right? So that could always happen.
Yeah.
But they might not have absolutely solved their prime case of the early game, and I think that'll be the next thing they'll have to focus on.
Yeah.
For run energy.
At least for me, I don't know. I haven't seen any testing on like I've seen their graphs absolutely, but I haven't seen any testing as far as like how far can you run 100 to 0 at level 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 and so on. Because I've seen their graphs, but that doesn't really tell me anything. So
Oh yeah. I haven't really done that either. I did make a level 1 agility account to test, and I think actually I might have concluded in my video that like free to play was kind of like nerfed in some ways because they're always level 1 agility. But I can't remember if that's a conclusion I had or they weren't really seeing any benefit at all because the changes were making levels better. So a level 1 account could be worse. I might have made that argument that earlier were technically worse. I can't remember exactly.
Interesting. You mentioned the WoW players. I know that some of them were pushed towards training agility because they hated it from the get-go. And like, so they hate that they have to walk everywhere and then they're being told to train objectively like the worst skill. But it is, as you mentioned earlier, it is nice to have this kind of mini progression because before it's just shortcuts. Now at least you can have this progression that you're going to feel all the way throughout your account.
Yeah, but then at the same time, you're also unlocking teleports everywhere. So it's like transportation goes from being this slog to like this super easy thing late game between having staminas, having better run energy, having graceful, having teleports. So I mean, it's cool that it becomes a non-issue in the future. But
yeah, I mean, especially as you're talking like you get to your POH and you can just always re-up your stamina as you're going to your pool for a lot of methods, anyways. So does run energy even matter for that? But the rest of January was pretty quiet. There were some sick UI interface updates. They have those mini menus, which I wasn't thinking about this when they showed the mini menus off, but like the ability for changing your left click option to just be it from the get-go, super sick. That
made I remember there was a time where like having a royal seed pod, right? Like that was like your best wilderness teleport, right? Because it's left click, whatever. And it's like now it's like you could have anything. You can have a glory set to left click, right? And it's like,
dude.
Yeah.
My brain is still in the Stone Age. I've never considered that. Here I am legitimately just like outlining how that's a possibility, and I still use my seed pod because that's what my brain goes to.
You could
Oh.
use anything now. That's level 30, which is nice. Like,
Yeah. And this update's
and
literally a year ago almost. So
oh yeah, achievement cape. I remember at one time I'd make the achievement cape. You can make that like your
mm-hmm.
It's a great cape, but you can
Yes.
make that also your like the desert cape, the desert teleport, which is like an amazing bank, like crafting guild bank basically, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, love the ability to change your menus around. That makes things, it levels the playing field for a lot of teleports definitely, and just being able to utilize like the tools that you have on these items, you know,
Yeah.
just making it easy was a great change. Yeah, and I think you can also do that. I was doing this on mobile as well. Like, I know it's not the greatest. It's a little bit annoying to switch the menus around at times, but like you can do it, which is
Yep.
really cool. You could slide the menus up and down, which I like. I
Yeah.
think that was part of this update, or maybe that was the mobile update.
It
That could have been
came
part
out
of
at
the
some
mobile
point,
update.
but like when I was writing out the itinerary for this conversation, there were so many things that I just had to decide. Like I want to include mobile, but then I started getting between blogs about future polls and then polls happening and then the actual thing coming out. I just had to narrow it down and just go with one
Yeah.
thing because it's like there's stuff that we haven't talked about that or won't talk about, that whether it's mobile or some random QOL change that happened. That's the super weird about these QOL changes. I had this thought as I was writing all my thoughts out. I would imagine to some extent, as this game continues over the next 10 years, there are going to be some changes this year that are not like the major releases that are going to have a way larger impact for the game than the major releases. Like, we're about to talk about Royal Titans coming out in February, but this mini menu change, that's how many clicks are saved over the course of a person's playtime, and how much frustration is being alleviated over a person's playtime. When Royal Titans, it's an awesome update. I guess this could be the transition to it, but like, sure, you're getting new prayers and a cool new staff, but you get this also just your life is made better by all these various QL changes that are going to be happening over the course of this year.
It's incredible. One of my favorite ones is the charges one, right? Which basically will 100% impact my PVM at some level, because I will run out of charges on something and realize, oh crap, I didn't load it up before doing a chambers. And now it's like everything I pull out of the bank is automatically being charged to whatever I set it to. Is such an amazing change. For blowpipe scales, for shadow, trident, stuff like that. That was like an incredible change as well. That will just, you'll never feel the impact of it anymore, but because you won't have those frustrating situations happen.
Yeah.
It's a preventative, obviously, quality of life change. Love that one.
Yeah. That was in March, and that's one of those things that I didn't start GNN until April. So March, I guess I wasn't reading patch notes. I don't know. I knew that there was the changes to charges where you didn't, like, you could progressively charge your Bofa or your quiver, so you didn't have to charge it all at once. Which I imagine is awesome for like irons. For mains, we're just gonna buy it, whatever, it doesn't matter. But for irons, where you don't have to, you luck out, you get your Bofa early, you get your, you have enough crystal charges to be able to make your armor and your bow.
Love that one.
But like, you can just keep putting it in there as the time comes, and it's like a lease, like a rent to own kind of situation where eventually you fully charge it. It's great.
Yeah, and it was great for the arc light.
Yep.
When you're turning into Ember Light, and the quiver. I love it for the quiver because I have a quiver, but I don't have the 150k Sunfire Splinter, so I never had it like charged at all, right? Because I didn't feel like grinding Wave 1 or grinding more Coliseum, and now I actually have a quiver that has its max potential. And yes, I'm using charges, but it's all going towards making it permanent, which I love, because I'd rather have that system, because when I run out of Sunfire Splinters, I'll just go do a little bit of whatever to get them. I'll go do a little bit of Coliseum, fill it up a little bit, and then go again, rather than feeling like there's this like daunting, even 10-15 hour grind of doing Wave 1 or whatever it is. That was like an amazing change that directly impacted me. I love that one. The progressive charging is a really good change.
Yeah, and I hope that it can be an olive branch to the player base from the devs, because I know the player base hates what they call ChargeScape, but it makes it really easy to balance. Like, it's a lever that they can move if they can use charges, especially for the economy when it comes to mains. If something drops a charge, that gives them something that they can adjust and not impact like the rest of the economy on. So if this lets them get away with charges more, I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it makes Chargescape a lot more palpable. Like nobody wants to use their Sunflower Splinters or their Crystal Shards
Yeah.
firing their quiver or their Bofa, right? Like nobody did that. It was always just get the amount you need to make it permanent. And now there's an actual reason to consume the resource, right? While still getting the progression on it.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
For sure. Finally making our way back to, and this is actually charge related as well. The charges heal well doesn't impact this. I didn't write anything in my notes about the page. You get the desiccated pages from Royal Titans, right? Or am I thinking of?
You do.
Because you get the Earth pages from Huey Coatl, who I have in my mind Varlamore. He was, or she, Huey Coatl, was phase 2 of Varlamore. That was last year.
That was last year, yeah.
But that's going to be fun to keep all that straight. I think I wrote down all my notes, so hopefully I'll be able to. But Royal Titans, awesome fight. I thought it was really cool when they did Scurious, just getting noobs into combat mechanics. Royal Titans adding even more. What I didn't think about until as I was just kind of twiddling my thumbs earlier, and I had thought about this, but having like assignable roles. There's not too much of that in RuneScape, and Royal Titans actually has it where you can, you're either assigning fire and ice, who's going to deal with what, or what sometimes happens if it's a situation where just someone has access to the twin flame staff and the other person doesn't. It's like you're on ads, I'm on dealing damage to the boss, and I think that's cool. I think it's neat that you can have mechanics like that, and I really want more mechanics like that because it's. RuneScape doesn't have the typical holy trinity when it comes to MMORPGs, so anytime we do get role assignment, I think it's really neat.
Yeah, and if we're gonna add, content that's duo content or trio content, like instead of it just doing it with more people, but actually having like mechanics that benefit from having those number of people. So they've done it twice this year, we've seen, right? But Royal Titans is one example where, you can do it solo, but having a duo is going to make it potentially a little bit easier. You're going to have these roles. And like you said, roles aren't really a thing. Like you do it in raids, basically.
Yep.
It's the only time you really do roles most of the time. There might be one or two other cases. And Royal Titans is a pretty A+ update. Like for many reasons. I do think the fight is great. I do think this is like a really great area for where I like into the progression for player accounts, because it's a step above definitely like Scurious and whatnot, and probably similar to Moon's Apparel perhaps. And another example, like we saw, it's just every time you look at the WoW players, they're like benefiting from so many of these updates. Like Royal Titans was like a great update. Like a lot of them did their first group content together at Royal Titans. Because this was the first stage of that, which was really fun to watch.
Yeah, because there is, in some sense, sure, there's Scurious. I almost wish there was something that Scurious did for your account progression outside of just experience. Because now, I mean, especially with the crab, you don't, like, who wants to actively train their combat experience when you can just AFK it? It's
like
a good point,
it's
the cannonball problem of the new furnace. Like, sure, you could make them 20% faster, or you could actually play the game when you're playing the game and instead make cannonballs when you're AFK. So,
yeah, I mean, Scurious, that's a good point. Scurious somewhat gets nerfed with stuff like the crab, which was also a very big W we'll get to. But, the benefit of Scurious beyond experience is like just getting you into the PVM. And it's amazing how much better players are nowadays because they have Scurious, they have Royal Titans, where it's like, I think my first flavor of PVM was Zulrah.
Yep.
Right. Which is not even a boss you can like learn how to do based on any mechanics you did previously. It's just memorization.
Yep. And it's really weird. It's not even, I wouldn't even say it's memorization. It's like, it's muscle memorization. I don't know if I could teach anyone how to do Zulrah. I have no idea how the phases work. I just know when the snake moves, I know where to go. It's weird.
Yeah, exactly. It's become second nature. Royal Titans, their drops are really good. I like the twin flame staff. I think it feels like a nice kind of gap there. I like just the way it works being 6 tick as well and firing 2 shots. I'm always trying to think of interesting use cases with it. It has, I think, some decent interaction with Sunfire runes and stuff like that if you can manage to get your hands on them.
Yeah.
And then the prayers are pretty good. Now, I already had the prayers, but obviously for people who don't have it, like the upgraded Deadeye is great. And then probably my favorite thing about Royal Titans, personally, I do love the desiccated pages. The desiccated pages are incredible. you can get like, how many was I getting? Like 700 an hour or something like that? Because I'm like green logged on them other than pet, which I can get through the boss by selecting desiccated pages. If you're not familiar, anyone who's listening, like Royal Titans, you don't have to just get standard loot. You can choose to do standard loot. You can have double roll on pet and get no loot, or you can choose to take pages. Once I've gotten my prayers and my twin flame staff, all I do now is take pages.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
it's nice because
is great.
No one likes charges, right? So that you can go to a boss and just work on just that.
I'm using charges right now. I'm using Tome of Fire, but the only reason why I'm using this is because I can use my desiccated pages, which, by the way, give you 15 runecrafting XP each. And I have like, I think 50k runecrafting banked from Royal Titans because I have like 1,000 pages in my bank. And if I did hours and hours of it, I could plop and maybe get like, instantly 1 million experience in runecrafting, which would be really fun to see.
Oh gosh, from being terminally online, I want to say that was one of Limport's methods for his chunk locked account was to get runecrafting XP. He was farming Royal Titans.
And I'm pretty sure you could do them all at once. Like it's one action. Yeah. So you'll get like a huge. You can go from like one to no, because I think you need to be level 50 or something to actually make the pages. But you can go from like level 50 to 99 theoretically, which is just so funny. And elemental weakness being such a big part of the game now, especially for mid-game accounts, it was important to have an option like this. And I also like bosses where I have a reason to go back to, even as a maxed account. So Zulrah is an example of like, I always need scales, right? So I'll occasionally go back to Zulrah. It's always a good boss to just jump into. You'll never feel like you're wasting your time getting more scales. And Royal Titans is an example where if I was playing with a friend who's lower leveled and they wanted to do Royal Titans, I'd be like, sure, because I'm going to go there and I'm going to take pages. And I have the option just to do that, which is amazing because I'll actually get pages. I won't have to like try to roll for them and get a bunch of other stuff I don't need. So yeah, love it.
I think because that's something that Scurious couldn't do. Like there wasn't really, if you're a max player, there's no reason to go and kill Scurious outside of the couple collection logs that you can get. Whereas for Royal Titans, especially if you're an Iron, it makes more sense. You can go back for the desiccated pages. As a main, I don't know how much the GP per hour is there, but it is neat the fact that there is an incentive to go back to a boss. And it's also the sense where it's like Scurious, a lot easier to do as a solo than like duoing the group variant. But for, Scurious doesn't make sense to do as a duo, whereas a Royal Titans, it makes much more, you get way more kills per hour, way more loot potential over the course of an hour by running it with a friend. So killer update. As far as... We already talked about March. Again, just a little QOL. April, also super quiet. So that's been about 2 months where they weren't really releasing too much. I did think the April update where they had the Castle Wars rewarding crates that actually had stuff in them. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking because Soul Wars already has that problem where Soul Wars already had that problem. It's not a problem anymore because they nerfed Soul Wars as well. But I just don't see like, of course people are going to AFK it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I did Inferno after the Autocast staying. I don't know if you did Inferno beforehand, but I've only known Inferno with like not having to worry about brewing down and then not being able to Autocast my like blood spell or something. Cause I would always hit the freeze out of my spell book. But I think my bloods on the blobs, the blood spells, I would always autocast.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to. I had a few examples where I would do something, and this was always a problem. I can't remember exactly what it was. Oh, I wish I could remember, but this changes. Yeah, just another example. Like, there's been a lot of quality of life in 2025.
yeah.
Oh, I just got a draconic visage, by the way. 1 in 10,000.
You got a draconic
what the hell
visage from Frost Dragons?
Yeah, that's collection log. Sorry to interrupt the cast. I heard ding-a-ling, and I'm like, what the heck?
Congrats. Yeah.
I'm just trying to get some nails. Dude, I have like, how many hours on this account? I have over 400 days playtime. I don't have one of those.
Dude.
Hello, baby.
GZ. And you would, hey, how many nails would it take for you to trade for that visage?
Dude, you know what's funny is like, I never thought about getting the draconic visage ever. But I'm like, oh, well, I'll have to kill 12,000 Frost Dragons. I'll probably get it anyways. And I guess that's true.
Because it's still a 1 in 10,000 drop, right?
Yeah, it's 1 in 10,000, but that's like nothing for Frost Dragons.
Right.
You have to kill so many.
Right. So I wonder if that's going to be, that's the iron. You don't need the visage for anything, mind
You
you.
don't know.
It's neat for
But
like
that's
4
like the
capital
iron
dice, but
spot to go if you want to get it and
yes.
you're interested in sailing. This would
Yeah.
be where the boss you get it from.
So
Yeah,
you're
or
gonna need the
the
nails
creature.
anyways. Head out there, dude.
Wow,
That's awesome. Congrats.
insane. Let's see
Uh,
if the RNG can keep rolling. Holy, sorry, interrupted the thing, but that's
no,
like such a
totally fine.
huge drop.
We celebrate those. No, my RNG for sailing has also been kind of cracked. I'm super underrate for like all of the collection logs that I have gotten. Whether it's like all the salvaging items, like I didn't have to spend that much time at the lower level ones. The ink, not the ink, the paint that you get from whatever salvaging location, I can't remember which one has the clog. That one I got, like I had just gotten there. And I got it. Like when I went back, I didn't get it when I was leveling, but when I was going back, trying to, because I have an allergy to getting XP past 99. So once I hit like level 92 or something, I was going back getting the collection logs. And then now that I'm AFKing, I finished all the collection logs that I want to do, just because the last ones I have are like combat related. Don't really care to go back to that yet because I know they're going to make changes. I've gotten 3 cannons and I'm not even 99 yet. I feel so
lucky
bad.
you.
I feel so. I'm a filthy main, so it doesn't matter. They're worth.
See, I got 2 and I'm not 99. So like I'm right behind you there. I got very lucky, and I complain about it a lot too, which is funny. Like about the drop itself. Wow.
That is. We'll get to it once we get to December. I have in my note here for December. Not enough content this year. There's no update in December. SMH my head. Anyways, what we could talk about sailing related. I do have some stuff, and one of them has to do with the cannon, like level 92, or is it? I think it's 92. Sailing to make the cannon, put it on your boat. Like, what happens when we have the next tier stuff come out? Are we gonna have another smithing problem? Like, that's what I have in my mind.
Oh, true, yeah.
But,
well, we'll have to see. They're gonna rework smithing, I think, soon. So, I think that was mentioned recently.
Yeah,
that's something that they want to tackle.
Right? It was on the second to last podcast I think they released.
Yeah.
Where, like he said he's super keen for it. I don't know if that's him just being excited or if they also do have.
I mean, they've been super keen for it probably for multiple years, but I mean, maybe we'll see with the Winter Summit if we get something like that.
I'm so
a rework.
January 16th. I can't wait. I love it. It's Christmas again on January 16th with all the drops.
Oh yeah.
Especially because we already know what some of it is, so having more details on like the vampire quest line getting finished up, whether or not it's going to include sailing, I don't know. Anyways, that's January. We're on April. So what else was there? There was the Autocast staying, like we said, where for me, like I can't imagine doing Inferno without it, because you're always, at least for me, I was brewing down, and then after you've brewed down, you're going to go out and do a blood barrage on a blob that you just killed. I can't imagine running out and then accidentally like getting slapped by some other monster because I'm running up to melee. That would have been so rage inducing. So another QOL change. I'm curious that by the time we get to the end, if there's enough QOL changes that would I have taken QOL, all of these QOL changes for the year, would I have taken them over one of the major releases? Maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
I think so. Yeah.
they're so good. There were some other small ones. Demonic Gorillas had a shakeup where they changed how often they swap. They're no longer aggressive. I thought that was weird. But I did like, just because, and maybe this is like a sense of like, we've had so much power creep. Like, what were they like on release versus today? Like, did the 50 back then feel like the 70 today?
Oh yeah, probably yeah.
Yeah.
I also like Demonic Gorillas, even at 70, it might like I sometimes I go back to them to try certain upgrades, and yeah, with the Ember Light and everything, like, which we get before this, right? Because it was last year, the Ember Light. Like, yeah, it makes sense that they changed it. The aggression change, I will say that I remember when I used to go there, it was super annoying to take aggro from them. And a lot of times you're taking aggro from one that's already been hit.
Yeah.
And you have to take it out. And as an Iron Man, it's no loot for that. So I could see why that they changed that to no longer aggressive. Because sometimes there were some cases where, yeah, most of the time the first one you're doing is always a lost cause. And then, yeah. So I'm happy with those changes. 70 damage. Honestly, they could have probably made it 100. It's one of those areas where the more upgrades you get, the like more annoying it becomes, because you're swapping constantly. You don't even want to bring your full power, because then you're swapping way too much. You just want to bring like a 2-way or a 4-way, just because you don't want to do a 6-way or an 8-way every basically like 4 to 8 ticks.
Yeah, no, it's really just bring your Slayer helm and make sure it's on, bring your weapon, and then if you want to have another switch, go for it.
Yeah.
Like as you said, you don't want to bring the power because then you're just more annoyed. So, do you still have your
Demonic
Did You
gorillas
Know messages
are
on?
which one? Sorry.
The Did
Oh,
You Know
did you know?
messages. Do you have
I
those on
think I
still?
turned them off, but those I could see those being helpful for a lot of players. Yeah.
I'm sure
I think I turned them off at some point. Yeah, because I heard them all at that. Like, because I think there's only a set amount.
There is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still have. You actually had a useful note, I imagine, on the demonic gorillas. What were you gonna say?
Oh, something that's interesting with demonic gorillas to me, right, is I'm just thinking about their gear now, right? So, because they had like they had like 3 best in slots, right? And is that still somewhat the case? So let me think. They got the torture, which is no longer a best in slot because of Araxor.
Yeah, but you still need it.
But you still need it,
Yeah.
which I think is the case for the tormented bracelets as well, right? You use them, and you still need them with the cloth. And then the other Zenite is the Ring of Suffering, which is a niche item. And then Anguish. Anguish is still best in slot, right?
That's probably on the chopping block for this year. I mean, given
So that's
that
probably a reward space.
Yeah,
and
I'm
it
thinking
probably is
next
going to
year.
require it as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking next
But
year.
it's interesting that it used to be like full end game, like Tormented Demons, and I'm so happy we're past that, where it's not like a basically Slayer creature giving you end game items. It's like, yeah, it's a little bit beyond that. If we're gonna give end game items from Slayer that are like not bosses, I think the best example of that's probably like Tormented Demons, because they're basically like demi bosses, right? They like 1,000 HP and. Yeah, but it'll be interesting. I think that's on the chopping block next year. Yeah, Anguish upgrade for sure.
Yeah, and it does just go. I think at least what you referenced there could also just be a power creep thing as time goes on. Like, what were demonic gorillas like on release? Were they similar to where demonic, not demonic? What am I thinking of here? Tormented demons.
The demons,
were
tormented demons. Yeah,
I think tormented demons are probably still more in that demi
a
boss
step above.
area,
Yeah,
but there is another sense where the players were a lot weaker.
And the players weren't as good, as well. Like
sucked.
they have, think of all the experience you have leading up to tormented,
yeah.
or demonic gorillas versus tormented gorillas now, right? Like you've maybe done a couple of bosses before going to TDs, where it's like demonic gorillas, not really. Like what bosses would you have done? Maybe 1 or 2, maybe the giant mole, maybe Zulrah, right? But probably not. So
yeah,
they're kind of like the new age of that type of creature, but. Yeah, it's good to finally get best in slots out of creatures like this and into bosses and demi bosses.
And I think it's also one of those yesterday's in game is today's mid game, where I was even thinking today earlier, because that's a thought that I do while I'm doing chores, just thinking about RuneScape and item progression, where there was a time where a lot of the best in slot items were untradeable rewards from quests. Like those RS2 eras where you have your Barrows gloves. I'm even thinking in that in-between window between 07 and 2012, where like you had like Karasi's, which today we have Void Waker, but we're like our Void Waker used to be an untradeable reward from a quest, like back in that in-between gap, which is totally just it's just weird to think about. The Neatiz Not Helm, similar story.
Arclight not that long ago.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. Yeah.
In part of me misses that, but is it better for the game that they come from bosses? Probably. Probably.
Yeah, and it seems like now it'll be, if you're gonna get something from a quest, it's more about unlocking the content that allows you to get those items rather than just giving it to you outright, right? Yep. Now there are exceptions, and I think in the mid game you can still have that. I think what's that weapon that you get? The weapon you get for doing the Varlamore Part 3,
it
right?
has a great, it's like a scimitar, but not.
Yeah,
it has a really good spec.
And we might touch on that later, but that's like a good example of like, okay, it could be a decent item when you do that quest as like a spec weapon, but it's not like a best in slot or anything like that.
Yeah, and the last bit on the tormented demons as opposed to the demonic gorillas. Demonic gorillas dropping a best in slot necklace for every single, well, I shouldn't say best in slot necklace for every single combat style. A best in slot jewelry, I'll say, for every single combat style. Whereas for the tormented demons, sure, they're dropping best in slot, but they're only dropping a niche best in slot. It's only best in slot when you're fighting demons. So,
yeah, exactly, and not even necessarily best in slot because we have mega rares, where the necklace jewelry is like you'll wear that with the mega rares. But yeah, still, obviously that's the direction we've been going to for a while. Oh, Sire too. Sire was reworked. Oh, this was a good one.
I would never do Sire before. Like, I think I had single-digit KC before this update came out. Like, I tried it, and I was like, I think I got enough KC to get all of the combat achievements. So maybe that's not true, because I think there is a kill count requirement for one of the CAs. But I was doing all the CAs, and I was like, I cannot wait to be done. This boss is garbage. And then I had a bingo after this update was applied. I can't remember how far after, but oh my gosh, like it's enjoyable.
Yeah, it feels a lot smoother. You get more kills per hour, which I think is important when you have a boss where their items become less and less important. Like the bludgeon has become less and less important over time. If you don't make the boss easier, then it definitely is not worth your time at that point. It doesn't have to be easier from a standpoint of mechanics, but just, smoother to go through, and being able to take out the vents as quickly as you can. And the transition between phases being a lot quicker definitely did help to achieve that without making the boss like an easier boss.
The one change I would have liked to see is that it requires a smoke spell instead of a I don't understand. Is the shadow spell like we're hiding ourselves from it and we go and attack stuff? Is that
it's a disorientation?
Yeah.
So we do that at both Levy and Levy and him, because shadows are meant to like there's something in the lore about disorienting. But I do see that smoke, especially for Levy, because during the quest they're like, we're gonna have to smoke it or something. They literally say smoke at one point, and then it ends up being shadow, which I found was interesting.
They're lying to us. The ones that are disoriented are us. Actually, that's what's going on there.
True. Yeah. 100%.
So that's nice, because effectively for me this added a whole new boss that before I wouldn't do. So now I have one more boss that I can do on Slayer, especially post 99. I don't need experience anymore to burst them, so I can just go and do a boss, which is fun. And of course the last change in April that's changing forever the way RuneScape works is that chins, when you drop them, appear on the ground, which is crazy.
I didn't even realize that was a thing. Yeah.
Hey, well,
I skipped that one. Yeah.
Hopefully.
So what happens? Do you still lose them when you die?
Well, I think in the wilderness, didn't they always go like on the ground? That way the person could pick them up. That was a thing, surely, right?
Oh, I always remember chins. I don't know wilderness or not, but it was like if I had them on me and I died, they're gone.
Yeah. I think that's how it was. So yeah, I think they're in your death pile now. I'm pretty sure. I'm not gonna go test it.
Oh yeah, chins are no longer destroyed upon death. That's actually so nice.
Right.
So if I brought some into like TOB and we wiped, I wouldn't necessarily lose them.
Mm-hmm. Or if you're AFK in the monkey caverns and you don't come back fast enough. Oh my goodness, core memory unlocked. There was this, I don't know if it was a big YouTube channel at the time. This is like when I was in high school, maybe even middle school, like super early days of YouTube. There was a YouTube video where it was essentially the kid was like bursting, I think, in the Monkey Madness tunnels on like the old like monkeys where people would burst for magic experience, and then he went to like he shows himself the YouTube video was like unorthodox training methods or something. He leaves his computer, goes to like a 7-Eleven, some gas station, grabs a drink, and then comes back. Wow, that was I haven't thought about that in a minute.
I feel like that would have been a time when like you were able to 6-hour that. If I can't remember if that was because I knew you could 6-hour like Nightmare Zone for old school. So I'm assuming back then you could 6 hours as long as you had aggression.
Surely those rules were the same. But that was also back in the day when you had like random events that would actually kill you. So like it was.
Oh gosh,
this guy was really flexing like the stupidity of leaving his computer back then. Because you also had like your prayer could drain, you could run out.
But you lose everything. We have it so easy nowadays.
Oh my goodness. Well, yeah. The game just is so different. I mean, it's easier, sure. There's also like the desires of players have changed. One of my things that I like to point out is one of the like before EOC, there was another update that almost killed the game, or at least caused a lot of people to quit, and that was them removing the wilderness and removing free trade, just because they had that credit card issue where there were so many chargebacks on credit cards. The credit card companies were threatening to drop Jagex as like someone that had access to their system. So they remove free trade, they remove the wilderness, and that's essentially what Iron Man does. Iron Man is a game mode where you get no benefit from engaging in PvP, and you can't trade other players, and it's like the most popular thing to do. So
yeah, player preferences have definitely changed over time. So, the end game back then was a lot of times engaging with players. Because there wasn't much of an end game. Otherwise, you had like Galfight Queen, KVD. Yeah. And then the rest of it was like, let me go PvP.
No, I don't want to insult the Gower brothers. What they made is amazing. But when I look at Brighter Shores and I look and I look at old school RuneScape, I don't know. Like, I'm glad that the people that are developing it now are the ones that have gotten to develop it. And of course, some of that is a bad argument because could it be the case that we don't get to see what they would have developed if they did get to keep it instead? So, nonetheless, I'm thankful for them, even if they're not the ones developing the game right now. Speaking of, in May, another boss that you can do. I would do Zulrah, but now Zulrah, to me at least, is a whole new boss because I don't do Zulrah the way that it was intended to be done. I just melee it now. That was a change that came in May.
Yeah, that was a really good change as well. It opened up so many doors for so many players. I have so many comments on the video I did of people who are like, I love the melee method.
Mm-hmm.
Personally, I'm not like, I almost prefer doing like range magic because of just the way your character moves, but so many people like melee. And even if you're doing, like, God, there's just so many mutations. You can't really go 100% melee, I don't think. I think you still want, or maybe you can. Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, you can. You can.
About damage, and if I have to eat too much food, I'm just I'll just teleport back. It's whatever.
Yeah, so you can do that. You can do pure range. You can do pure mage. You could do 2 styles of anything. You could do mage plus melee. You could do range plus melee. You could do range mage, but then bring like Crystal Halberg for a spec.
Yeah,
and with a couple of melee switches. Like, there's so many options for Zulrah, and Zulrah's like, oh god, Zulrah's such a cool boss where it's so viable to do it so many different ways that when you get upgrades a lot of times, Zulrah's sometimes one of the first bosses you go test your upgrades on.
Yeah.
Because it's just so easy to get to and see the power increase. So love melee Zulrah. Obviously Nox Halberg is like really great there.
Yeah.
And that's like just a strong item, such a strong item. It's like almost a Soul Reaper Axe. It makes Blade of Saldor almost useless as well.
Yeah.
And it's much easier to get than both of them.
Yep. Yeah. No one wants to go back and grind another crystal for the Blade of Saldor. So
which I did, and I do have a Blade of Saldor.
I'm so sorry.
No, I got pretty lucky. So I got unlucky in a sense where I had Blade of Saldor and then Bofa came out. Right. So I had to grind for a seed to get a Bofa, but instead of doing that, I broke down my Blade of Saldor to make a Bofa because I saw that Bofa was going to be more important.
I was playing when Song of the Elves was released, but I was not up there as far as levels go. I didn't do it on release. You're telling me Bofa wasn't out when Blade of Saldor was?
No, it wasn't. So for about a year or so, it was like it wasn't an enhanced seed you got. You got the Blade of Saldor as a drop. So somewhere in my folder, I have Blade of Saldor in the chest. I don't have like a seed. And then I think it was a year or so later, they wanted to introduce this item, the Bofa, and I wanted to use it, and it seemed so strong that I was like, that's it. I'm not going to grind 400. I'm going to break down my Blade of Saldor. So I lost its charges that I need to put into it. So I lost like 12,000 shards or something, plus like 250 shards to make it or something. So I lost like 1250 shards doing that. But then I had a Bofa day one. Now, the funny thing is, eventually I went back to the Gauntlet, and I got my Blade of Saldor at 333.
Oh,
right?
That's cute. Yeah.
So pretty good, something like that. And then I'd maybe done a few after that, etc. Maybe got close to 400. And then when I went back to to try to get the blade and whatever, I got the second seed at that point at like 420. So overall, I got 2 seeds and like 420. So I'm very lucky. But man, let me tell you what else is like super annoying about that. Like, the Corrupted Gauntlet is such like a big point in progression for Iron Man. Now it's less important than it used to be. Now there's like a lot of other options you can go before getting a Bofa, which is awesome, right? Yes. But before it was like, and even still now, it's such a huge point to go, and a lot of Iron Man burn out there. Previously, you didn't need to because it was just a Blade of Saldor. It was like a kind of a minor upgrade. But when they introduced the Bofa, if you now want 2 items, you're effectively doubling the grind. And as somebody who like wanted both, I was like, man, I'm going from like 400 KC to 800 KC to do this. Like, it was kind of frustrating, but no one was really talking about that because most people didn't care about the Blade of Saldor. Yeah. And now Blade of Saldor is like really, really not needed. Like, I have it and I use it in very few cases because there's way better options.
No, I don't know. So 2019 is when Song of the Elves was released. I was off and on then because I believe that's right around the time that WoW Classic, the relaunch, was going on. So at that point, Not only was it the case where I had switched over from RS3 to OSRS, I was a late adopter, and by late I mean like 2017, 2016 or something. Just because I had that sunk cost fallacy going hard, but and like to some extent I liked the new skills they added. Like I liked summoning, I liked dungeoneering. I didn't like I would have preferred the game not go through evolution to combat, but I liked the skilling so much. I was never much of a PVMer. And then I saw like they were releasing raids and whatnot in OSRS, and that's what piqued my interest, and eventually started making the transition. But during that's why I didn't know. It's because at that time I was playing WoW Classic instead when Song of the Release was released. Song of the Elves was at least first released. So interesting.
Oh yeah,
very interesting. And you mentioned that about Zulrah. Like there is all sorts of ways that you can get to that boss now. It doesn't have to be go to CG, get your Bofa, then go to Zulrah.
Yeah.
You have a lot of avenues that you can go.
You can get Twin Flame, which
Royal
is
Titans
really good now.
And, Royal Titans, the Twin Flame feels so good at Zulrah for the same reason that Crystal Halberd feels so good. Whenever you get, and this goes for any game, like as a designer, when you let your players get to feel like they're cheating, that's the best thing in the world. With when
you bypass the 50.
Yes. It feels so good. It feels so good when you hit over a 50 because you're hitting 2 hit splats. I love it so much. And
the Twin Flame can just do that. If you have good enough gear, you can hit something like a 56.
Yep.
Which feels great. I do think Zulrah, that cap, I think should be removed as we get stronger. I think they have to compensate by making Zulrah like have more HP, right? Maybe like 700 HP instead of 500. But I can't stand that cap. And it's not even just like a 50 cap. It like anytime you hit above a 50, it rolls between a 46 and a 50.
What?
Just so you're not constantly hitting 50, 50, 50. Yeah. Otherwise, you would see 50 pop up a lot more. But you're getting scammed for the sake of you not seeing 50 like every like 4th hit, 5th hit. So it is a bit of a scam, and I do think it needs to be removed at some point. So I think the next update for Zulrah, hopefully, they'll eventually do that, especially given the fact that we have the Crystal Halberd doing that. We have Twin Flame doing that. Like, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. You don't want to make it too hard for people to get their first completions by giving it too high of HP, people who wouldn't hit the HP cap to begin with. But at the same time, Zulrah is becoming easier because we have these options that you can go to, and you can get to Zulrah a lot quicker. So please, Jagex.
Yeah.
Hopefully they remove that in the future.
Maybe because I do love the aspect of being able to, like, when you cheat out 100 with the Crystal Halberd, like that.
It is nice.
It's the best feeling in the world.
I think, what's my Zulrah PB? It's probably kind of nuts. Let me check.
With melee, that's how I cheat. I say that I cheesed mine. I would say that it's cheese, given that like before you had to actually have on-point switches and be in place at the right time. Now it's like you just zerg the boss down with all your specs and then hope you get some good hits with a Noxious Halberd. And because of all the attack bonus, you can easily be hitting plenty fine. So it's not that hard to get a PB.
I'm at 39 seconds for my Zulrah PB.
Mine's somewhere between 40 to 50. I know it's sub 50, maybe like 48 seconds or something. But don't ask me what my PB was before that. Don't ask me what it was before.
Much higher,
But is there some sense, like, is it, here we are praising it, so I think I know where we're going to end up, but like, is it okay to change this, like just straight up change the strategy of a boss? Because it's not like they made it so you can't do it the old way. That's what my excuse is, like why it's okay to add melee to this. Because Grotesque Guardians, I believe that was also this year, where they let you melee both Grotesque Guardians. Is that fine that we do that? Like, is that okay that we're just straight up changing the meta that you have to use, or like providing other options?
Most of the time, yeah. Like, I don't think we could just willy-nilly like change things, like. But like, I think in both the example, like Zulrah, there's always been that. Like, why is Zulrah immune to melee, right? Like, we've had that discussion for years. So, and then, so I think to me it makes sense that they make changes like that. So I'm happy with those types of changes. I don't know if I could make a wide sweeping statement saying that is okay to do with every single boss.
Yeah.
I'd say generally, yeah, like there's nothing is too sacred where we need to change the strategy of a boss, like inherently, but I don't know. Who knows what gets released in the future? What if there's some like crazy, I don't know. Could we make changes to like, the Inferno that would change it fundamentally? Like, probably not.
Yeah.
right? But could we maybe make Sire better, right? Could we make Cerberus, fundamentally different in some ways, or other bosses that we
Yeah.
can't reach? I think Leviathan, there's some weird, like, things where you could probably make melee an option there in the future,
Ooh.
right?
And that'd be very interesting. I mean, just with the mechanics of the boss, that'd be particularly interesting. Where it's probably not worth it, but it would be at least be cool.
Yeah, exactly. Or you can like maybe use it when you stun it on the back side, right? Like you could Cristo Chally the back, which
Yeah, that would be.
I tried on release because I'm like, dude, that makes sense. Like I'm gonna stab it with a freaking, its weak spot. Like I would
It's like
stab a
Shadows of
dragon.
Colossus stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it like wasn't that good, which was shocking. But so I'd say generally, yeah, generally I think we're okay to do this. But it seems like most of the time we're doing this is like more of a quality to life thing. It's not about trying to change the boss fundamentally, or rework the boss. It's
Yeah.
to make the quality of life much better.
And it's the case where literally everything else still works. You can do exactly what you're doing before. This is just another thing that adds another way to progress in there. And it's also odd because like we have Zulrah and Grotesque Guardians getting love, and then we look at bosses that I think people would have a problem with. I'm fine admitting that we're just in a different era and we need to let the nostalgia go. But like Calfight Queen, there's no reason that the game design for Calfight Queen should be what it is.
For me the problem is it doesn't respect your defense, like so you're just taking 30s constantly.
The mechanic is eat food. That's can you step under? That's the mechanic. So oh well. The bigger update, as big as that was, like that May was a super good month because I thought Melee Zora was awesome, but Yama.
But at this point from March to May has been all updating old stuff.
That's true. Yeah, I mean when we look at it, really and truthfully, January, like the run energy changes are huge, and they're going to have a huge impact on the game throughout the rest of its history, way more than Royal Titans is going to. You could make some extent like some argument that even another like large update that the run energy changes matter more than. But these have all been small. Like I'd say Yama really is the first thing that actually changes the in-game meta, because Royal Titans, as neat as it is, like if you already have your prayers from Cox, it's not really going to matter. Like it's cool that you can get prayers before, and it's cool that you can have levels that matter between level, like because it is weird with prayer. Like your levels between level 43 when you get your melee prayer, and then you go like all the way up to 70 for piety. Like those levels just don't matter. Then after 70, of course, you have your Cox prayers. So like that's cool, but it doesn't change the end game. Yama, like I love the fight. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I love it so much that my partner can do it and I can turn my brain off and I forget that I have to step on the places and then they misclick and then I accidentally kill them. That's great. Good fun. Good laughs. But is Oathplate too good? That's what I wonder.
Is Oathplate too good? Here's why Oathplate is too good right now. Oathplate is too good right now because most of what we've been seeing released the past year or so, and the things we've been releasing, and this is very much intentionally. There was this point in the game a couple years ago where the scythe was kind of underpowered, and
like
we started to.
Mil? How much did it get down to?
It was less. No, it was like 350.
Crazy.
Yeah, it got pretty low, 400 maybe, and now it's like 1 point whatever. It's very high. We obviously buffed the scythe directly, but we introduced a lot of slash weakness recently, right? And Oathplate is in a very healthy spot because there's so many things we slash and we have the scythe. Now, Oathplate in the future, it's more susceptible to being negatively affected than something like Torva. So yes, you could say that, yeah, okay, Oathplate, if I have that, I'm basically wearing Torva. But if they release a boss in the future that is stab weak or crush weak, you're Oathplate, all of a sudden, you're going to see the price tank because people are going to buy Torva, right?
Or if it's Crush.
And then
is Torva better than Ink when it comes to Crush as well? I can't quite remember.
I don't think it is when you have full Ink most of the time, but it might depend on if it's the mace versus another weapon.
Right.
For Crush, right? Like Crush is a weird space right now because you have the scythe that can be Crush, and then you have Ink. So I don't know. Maybe there gets things worked in the future. But another thing here is if they ever release like a Crush Mega Rare, for example, like that's another case where Ink and Torva are going to be better than Oathplate. So Oathplate's very strong. I only have like one piece of it, but I need to go back there and get more. And I'm someone who has a little bit of Torva as well. It's strong, but it's only strong because the meta is pretty slash heavy right now. It's
Yep.
very we've got levers to tone down Oathplate, which I'm fine with. Uh, yeah, so I think it's strong, but I think it's strong because it's yeah, just the meta
Yeah,
right
and
now.
so your argument would be in the future the ability to skip over Torva isn't going to be as much of an issue. You know, if there is like if what the content people are going to be if the content that people are going to want to be doing isn't going to be slash weak.
Exactly. Or if there's a reason to have max hits at all, right? Like we've seen that with
Yep.
like the Coliseum, like having to hit a certain threshold, like you're going to have more benefit from Torva. It just so happens to be that we have a lot of slash that makes Oathplate very, very strong. So people are basically using like slash is like almost everywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
people are using Oathplate as like the just 1-to-1 Torva comparison, right? Because we're using like Scythe everywhere. But that necessarily isn't always going to be true. And when that's not the case, then Oathplate will fit where it's supposed to fit a little bit more. Now, if we ever, with between Ink Mace and if we have some upgraded stab, then at that point Torva starts to become, I don't know, in a kind of a weird place. But
Yeah.
dude, there's so many things you can do. You can have a boss that's like, you know, has a melee weakness, but it like switches
Mm-hmm.
throughout the fight. So it starts off crush weak, then it's slash weak, then we're at a stab weak, and it's like all of a sudden, well, I would want to wear Torva because it's like
Yep.
the one that fits it all.
You're not one of
So
doing switches for accuracy. Yeah.
yeah, you're not gonna want to bring like two other three-way switches plus potentially having to bring like range or mage. I
Yeah.
don't know. Who knows? But the point I'm making is that like it's it's less about a lot of items are strong right now or weak, less so about the items themselves. I mean, definitely part of the item, but a lot of times it's like what content has been released.
Mm-hmm.
That's like you'll see the price in the GE of certain items go up or down when it has a use at like a new boss.
Yeah.
Um, which we saw like the Venator bow like had
Mm-hmm.
like no use cases until they like added use cases to it, and
Yep.
all of a sudden it's a very good item to have,
Yeah.
right? It's great in
Before it was
Coliseum,
AFK
great for
Slayer.
Whisperer.
Yeah. Before it
Yeah,
was AFK Slayer, and then you actually have boss mechanics where it's very useful.
yeah,
And that almost makes you like think like whenever they release an item that's kind of like everyone's, you could say sleeping on, totally ignoring. Because we were just saying how good the Noxious Halberd is when that came out. I remember it was like 15 mil. It was super cheap. And now
it got to around 20 mil. Yeah,
yeah, and now the price of everything's down, but it's like it's way higher than it was. And it almost makes you wonder, like when they are releasing items that are being looked over on release, is it the case where I genuinely think they know more than the player base does, and they don't really want to spoil it by letting the players know what their intended use cases were. There's also some sense where they they know themselves what future content it's going to be used at, or maybe they just see like an item like this is a rare drop from a boss. It feels lame that this thing really isn't that useful, or it feels lame that the market price is really low. Let's have a mechanic at a new boss that it's going to be used at.
yeah.
I think both.
And sometimes all it takes is one mechanic, man. Like one mechanic, and
Uh-huh.
all of a sudden it's like, wow. So like the Whisper, it's like those ghosts. It's like Venator bow just shoots up just for
Yep.
that one simple mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
And that one's a very clear example of like we did this on purpose
Yep.
because that item had like no use beyond
Yep.
Slayer before that.
Yeah.
Which I'm totally a game for, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I like horizontal progression. I like it when
Yes.
mechanics like that exist.
Yeah. Like it doesn't matter what the reason is to go fight a boss. It doesn't have to be you're fighting for the best in slot. Even if it's just to make your life marginally better at one boss, that gives you a reason to go and complete that content, which
Yep.
is a great way of adding content without completely making everything that has come before it useless. Horizontal progression is, I mean, it's the poster child of the success that everyone's been citing for old school. Like all of the WoW players have been citing it. For me, I know it's something that matters for me, just because I know like when I buy an item, it's probably not going to go down in value like too much, or at least it's worth. Even if it does go down in value a whole bunch, I still have my item that's going to be useful at a whole bunch of places. So yeah, I love the horizontal progression. And so I guess speaking of, right, Oathplate wasn't the only thing that came from Yama. There was also the horn. I've not, I wish I have had time to raid, but like during this I was maxing, so I actually didn't do a lot of Yama on release. I may have been maxed actually. Maybe I was doing Inferno? I can't quite remember, but I was doing my Inferno and Quiver this year. So I didn't have a lot of time for a lot of the stuff that came out. So I did it maybe once just to check it out, and then I left. I know the horn isn't the horn used like pretty frequently at like all the places where you're doing group content?
I wouldn't say it's like super frequent. No, it has its use cases, but it can be a little bit, there's a little bit of skill to being able to use it, and to have it and to be coordinated.
Coordination,
and it's good at Yama. It's good for now. It would have been great in chambers, but now you're guaranteed to land the hammer on Tecton on the first one, right?
Yep.
So it's like it's got less of a use case there. And then they nerfed it in a way that I didn't agree with. So I originally was theory crafting how this thing could be used. And one of the interesting use cases was like, oh, you can use this and then like Dragon Claw next, right? And it's like, is that even good? Who knows? But the point is you 100% hit a Dragon Claw next, which is like unheard of. But they changed it after so that it only works on the first hit splat.
Lame.
Right. which is lame stipulation that basically was like, here, I'm gonna nerf Burning Claws and Dragon Claws.
Yep.
It still potentially has use cases because like obviously the obvious use case here is for defense training, but there is potential for DPS use cases. It's just a matter of finding those cases, but they did nerf the main one. I'm okay with the Horde. I think it's underutilized now, but this is another example of like all it takes is one case where you have a boss who can have their defense trained, but they're very difficult to do, very difficult to drain because of the high defense.
Yeah.
And it's a dual content, it's group content. It's like it's a perfect example for the Horn.
Yeah.
Of like, oh wow, this is gonna be meta defining there. Now, right now, what's the Horn's 3 mil, dude? Like it's so cheap because it doesn't really have much use, but I could see this popping to like 15 mil as soon as we get a boss like what I described. It needs to be group content, which is already limits out a lot of things, and it needs to be a boss that is difficult to defense train.
Yeah.
So
it needs to be worth using as well, because at least for me and my group that I run with, we don't care. we're just gonna spec and then move on. I don't know if any of us are gonna focus on using the Horn.
I think it's used. I think it's used in Tob speedruns potentially for Maiden. But yeah, it requires a lot of skill. Like even if you're just playing with your friends, right? Like it's just easier for, hey, let's just all send a hammer instead of having 3 people send a hammer and 1 person blow a horn. And it's like just because you need to make sure, hey, you're gonna blow it, okay, great. Or speedrunners, obviously they've got that. Like more serious players have that nailed down. More casual players, they're not necessarily working it in. Also, I don't know if anybody wants to be the horn blower. You know.
Blows, man.
And I don't know if it affects your points or anything too. If you're doing like chambers, like because you're using more spec than them, you still get a guaranteed hit, I guess, but you're using 25%. So if you're all doing hammers, you're down to 75%.
Yeah.
Now if they made an interesting case where no, they can't do that. I was gonna say where the user uses less spec, but they can't do that. So never mind. It's an interesting item. I do like that it was added into the game. It's horizontal progression, good for group content. It doesn't have a place right now, but that can easily be changed in the future, like the Venator bow was changed.
Especially with a raid on the horizon. Plenty of space where it can be fitted in. As far as the going back to Oathplate, they added the shards. I think, and I'd be fine with this just because I'd be fine if they were done experimenting. If the way they did Oathplate shards was the way they did like the bad luck mitigation going into the future, totally fine.
Yeah, is that your favorite version of it?
Yes, I think this is by far the best. Just because as well, like one of the things about PVM that is kind of rough is that it takes away the glory of skilling, and I really like to see all aspects of RuneScape being included at the high end of the reward space. So the fact that you can use those shards to then craft an Oathplate piece is very good. My one critique of it though is, and maybe this is a problem just because it's with armor. Maybe if it were like a weapon, it wouldn't be as bad. But because it's armor, you're like, oh man, like I don't want to use my shards because what if I end up getting the piece that I craft?
You gotta wait. Yeah, you gotta wait until you have 2 pieces before doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the only critique is that it's kind of rough with armor. But if it was just a weapon, totally fine.
I'm more or less okay with it. I'm holding on to my shards right now until I get my second piece. I don't even have enough to make the third anyways. Now it doesn't give you the collection log. So like as somebody who would rather get the collection log, I'd rather hopefully get lucky with the boss. You have to go dry to get to the point where you can make it. So hopefully I do get that.
Yeah.
I do like that it involves a little bit of skilling. By the way, the Yama update, we're calling it the Yama update, but this is one of my favorite updates of the year because it wasn't just adding a boss in. It had like other elements. It had its own little ecosystem
Uh-huh.
where you had the boss, you had the contract system, which we'll talk about, obviously. You had the contract system feeding into the boss, and you had the skilling portion where you had to get the shale
Mm-hmm.
and use that to make armor, right? Like it's this nice little ecosystem that they built. And then and not just that, you also had stuff like the skilling enhancers, like the catalyst to make
Yep.
those like soul runes, or the better one, the diabolic worms.
Yep.
Incredible, right? So I love that this boss wasn't just an update. Here's some items you go for. It had a lot more going on. They didn't necessarily execute perfectly on all of it, and that's totally understandable. And they made adjustments since. But I do really like that it's an update to the area and and an update to skilling, not
Yeah.
just a straight boss.
And that had something to do with their they had already planned for this year. I can't remember if they had done it yet, but there was a summer sweep up where they were doing changes to drops where they were trying to like they felt like drop tables were being too generous with skilling materials, so they were trying to dial that back. And I feel like this was them
Yep.
kind of letting players know that they also had that inclination where instead of putting anglers on the drop table, they put the diabolic worms. Instead of putting well, I mean, they could have put runes if they wanted to. I think there even are some runes. There's the fire rune drop, which is spicy. But there's those Aether catalysts, like just they made rune crafting like really profitable for a little bit. I don't know if it's still profitable. I mean, you can do any rune crafting and it's profitable, but like I mean, like there was like a super additional premium on those using those catalysts. So like I thought that's awesome that you can unlock this new rune that you can go and get. And now like I always use that rune if I'm using the RCS spellbook, like I'm using those runes, so they're always going to be used. I thought it was super, super cool. Totally agreed.
I love it. And I'm a huge fan of the skilling enhancers.
Mm-hmm.
They're very difficult to balance. The diabolic worms were done pretty well. Like
Yeah.
they balanced them pretty well, especially in contrast of the shark lure, which comes out a little bit later.
Yeah.
They did a great job with those worms, and I like going to anglers. I think it's a really good way to get the pet too, by the way, because it doesn't affect your pet chance. You're just catching. I think it was like I mathed it out to like basically 3 times the speed you're catching. So amazing. Love that. The contracts, I do like the idea of them like being from the creatures, and I can kind of get them on my own time, or it's like lower level players feeding into them. I haven't done any of the contract fights yet. I'm not super interested. I don't even have full oath plate anyways. It might be something I get to in the future. I am someone who, God, man, the whole Awakener orb system and contract system, I have like a natural aversion to. I wish I had a way to like, even if it costs like a ridiculous amount of orbs or whatever, to like permanently unlock them.
Yeah.
Because I have this problem where, okay, for the Awakened bosses, like you literally can't do it first time like on an Iron Man if you've never done it, whatever. You need like that main account to practice.
Yeah.
Right. So I needed to practice. I needed to practice. I didn't practice for 3 of the bosses, but I did practice for Leviathan a bit. Right. But it got to the point where my orbs were getting low, and it's like, oh crap, like I need to slow down. I need to practice more and go back. And now, unfortunately, I don't have my oath plate. I did the 3 bosses fairly easily, but Leviathan, I don't have a freaking web weaver, and that in Ray Trace, man, I've gotten it down to like 19. I've gotten it down to 30, and I'm doing it with a Bofa at the end. I'm just like, all I need is a web weaver, and I'd be good. But I don't like these systems. Like, I'm not like a huge fan of these systems as an Iron Man personally, because a lot of the times the drop rates, like for the orbs, are like, for instance, so freaking long to get a good stack of them that it's going to take me forever unless I plan on doing it on a main for practice, which I'm not a fan of. Contracts, little convoluted. I haven't really dug into them. I don't have too much to talk about there because I haven't done them personally, but
it would have been totally fine if the Slayer monsters in there just drop them. Like, is it cute? Is it cute that you have to do a little song and dance every hour in order to get a contract? Like, I guess. But just have the monster, just have the monsters drop them, I guess.
They're experimented a bit with the
like as far as from the economy. I mean literally like a kind of an ecosystem almost, where you have the mains using up this like the higher level mains using up this resource, and the lower level mains generating this resource. I thought that was super cool. But as someone who hopefully one day wants to be able to go for these, I think the contracts are cheaper, not like way cheaper. I mean, especially compared to release. And I'm not sure how much they cost compared to orbs, but even orbs, I don't like the mechanic, because it would be awesome if I could do them sooner rather than later, but I know like I have so many more goals with what I want to do with my cash stack instead of just burning it. I'd much rather just go for my gear upgrades than burning it, even though I would potentially, be able to shift what my bank value is accoladed to, and then go ahead and try it. But I'm not interested. I don't want to burn hundreds of mils in order to go.
And I think that's fine, right? Because there will be a point potentially in the future where you are interested, right? Where you're pushing that type of content. It's not meant to be something that you do at any given point, right? Like, so I think it's totally fine that you're in that space. I wish I could throw cash at the problem. I wish I could buy orbs like through some weird in-game method, but it's fine. I'll slowly get there. But yeah, it's what do they call it? Aspirational content, right?
Yes.
So I'm happy that those exist. We're always moving the goalposts of what it means to be like a great player in old school, which is a good thing. Before it was like you have an infernal cape, you're a boss, right? And now it's like, okay, well, you need Oathplate, you need Blood Torva, you need the GM helmet, which is basically all that.
Yes.
Right. And it's like, I'm no longer a top tier player because I don't have a GM helmet, right? Like, I could have Blood Torva, I could have, but I don't have Oathplate. I could have Oathplate, but I don't have that. So we're always making it harder and harder to reach those top ranks, which I think is totally fine.
Yeah. And it's also, could we also be losing sight of where people are with, like, sure, you can buy all those things that we just mentioned. You can buy the recolors for your Torva and Oathplate. You can buy your quiver. You can buy your infernal cape. But all of those things, if you're doing them legitimately, even an infernal cape is, like, thinking back, the fact that I have that is insane. Like, I would have thought there was no way that I could achieve it. Granted, I think I struggled with the quiver more, just because I should have read more guides. I should have, because after I actually did some research, it wasn't a week later and I got it. But like right now, I do feel like about that aspirational content, I feel the same way that I did about the infernal cape. So is there some sense where maybe in the future, maybe once I have my items that I want to have before I decide that I want to start burning bank, maybe
that whole system, like Yama, I think was a very good fight. I don't think the contract fights are particularly fantastic based on everything I've seen and the reaction to them, but it was cool to get a duo boss like this. Pretty simple boss in the end. Like, it has a good amount of mechanics, but it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, and I would say the ease of it is one of my arguments as to why Oathplate may be too, like, it's just for the effort you have to put in. I'd much rather do Bandos. Sorry, I'd much rather go do Yama than go do Bandos. Right. Like on an iron or something. So.
Right, yeah. So maybe it could have been a little bit. I think as they touted it as like an end game duo boss, it's really more of like a mid end game. Yeah. Like it's kind of in between there.
Which, how do you say that?
Yeah.
That's in. I mean, that happened as well. I mean, just as recently with the sailing changes to salvaging, where in my mind, I viewed that more as a communication problem than a problem with the rates itself, just because no one was expecting the salvaging rates to be changed, and they changed them. Everyone was expecting this super hard in-game duo boss, and then it came out the boss was way easier than people were anticipating, and I mean the very hardest version of the fight you couldn't duo. So I think if their communication, which is, I'm saying, like, Jagex, the game company that communicates the most with players relative to any other game company, if they were communicating better, they wouldn't have these problems. So all of that is, I guess you put a little asterisk on that because they already do such a good job. But the slip ups
definitely, yeah.
I guess my last part about it was nice, like the agility shortcuts. It's always good when you feel like you're rewarded for getting something, or if you're a person that doesn't have 99 agility. Any excuse to get back on the rooftops is always going to be welcome. So I'm glad that they added those.
Yeah, more shortcuts always better. The mine itself, the shell mine, was very fun too.
Yes,
I was a huge fan of the shell mine. Jim's wet rag was fun to kind of sort of learn how to tick manipulate as someone who doesn't do a ton of it.
What would you wager is their reason for not allowing it outside of the mine?
Because we're still stuck to like knife log and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like the main reason. I also think it's not like 100% works the exact same. It did help me though. Like I did a whole video on like I don't know how to tick manipulate at all. I went there. I did the gym's wet rag. I kind of learned the rhythm to it. I learned that I was doing it wrong. Then I learned how to do it right. And then I went out and did like I did the granite tick manipulation and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh my god, I'm doing it. And I wouldn't have been able to do it without the gym's wet rag as like the one-click item.
Yeah.
I think eventually we'll get something outside of this. Like I can't believe we're still holding on to knife log, for as long as we are.
Yeah.
I don't, but I don't know. Maybe high-end skillers feel differently.
Yes.
But it's just we've changed so many things in old school, and this is one that I think we can eventually let go of. But you know what? I'll leave it up to the skillers to decide when and if it's ever the right time to do that.
Yeah, and the sad thing is, I know, like, at least watching people do it, and they seem to, at some point, it does become second nature for me. I don't want to get over that learning curve, because I know for me, when it came to Hollowed Sepulcher, like, I went through that learning curve, and it still almost didn't seem like it was worth it, because the XP rates that I could get, I was like, I could be trying as hard as I am, or I could just sit on the couch and run like RD rooftops. So when it comes to skill, like tick manipulating skilling, where I'm sure I could turn on music, go into a trance, and just have a great time. Or what if instead I just clicked my fishing spot every few minutes? Like that also sounds really good. So I could just go do that. So to me, it seems like why not just have that olive branch? To like, I don't have to go and get another item if I mess it up, or it's taking up one inventory spot, so I can not have to drop as much. I don't know. It is weird. If you use the excuse of it's been in the game, like this is how it's always been, why can't we change it? It's like, I don't know, like how long was blowpipe in the game before they finally nerfed it? And then also imagine if they never nerfed blowpipe. Like it's. Sometimes changes, the game is just straight up better if they make them. And I think this game is going to be around way longer than we think it will be. I certainly didn't think that, back in 2012, that the relaunch would be around in 2025, much less that it would actually be the game that I play most.
Oh, yeah. With so much like new content. It's ridiculous. Yeah.
Crazy. So there's nothing else on Yama. We start to get to the summer sweep up months where they did some Duke changes, which were awesome. Some TOA changes. I did do a TOA after the changes, and like TOA, the
oh my god, especially. It's so good.
Yes. Yeah, and like you don't have to. I said earlier, like you as a game developer, when you can let your players feel like they're cheating, like do it. Like when it came to like Zulrah, where you can cheat past the 50. I don't like when I have to legitimately what feels like break the game just to do a boss room. I hated Baba just because you're like, and here I am just ignoring all of the boss's mechanics. So that way I can do this boss most effectively. Yeah. I like that I can just pray now.
Yeah, I love the changes to Baba the Boss and the Baba room. Like, that's probably the biggest changes. Mm-hmm. The Akka changes, Akka's like way easier now. Dude, Akka's like, I was torn on the Akka changes a little bit. Like, I think it's better now.
What were those?
So Akka before would pray like two things, and then you needed to pray whichever one you're supposed to. You'd have to attack with what? Yeah, it's just like if it's praying mage now, you attack with mage. Mm-hmm. Like it's like super simple, right? It's much easier, and then there's less orbs at the end, right? Which like so it made it a lot easier because they had the view internally. Like Akka was like basically a raid boss. Right, like it could have been the last boss in the fight because of the amount of mechanics we had. Right, just scaled up bigger, which I think is true. They did make it very easy. Now, I do wish that one of the invocations they added to Akka was like, more orbs at the end phase. Yeah. Right, instead of having some of the other mechanics that are like less fun, a way to add that original feeling back in. Because I did really, as much as the orb phase can be annoying, I did enjoy it. Now, I did do it afterwards. Sometimes there's still a good amount of orbs, so they didn't nerf it like that hard. But I do like those changes. They also added the new Karis as well, the one that's like a good stab weapon.
Yes.
That's a great change. I had a friend who was like, he was using leaf-bladed sword for the longest time trying to get his fang, and he went drown the fang because he didn't want to go get a Hasta. So this
Yeah.
is like a perfect item for people in those
Yes.
cases. Love
And
it. Now it
it was a
does
great
it
olive
only
branch
work?
as well. I mean, because they also didn't they nerf the fang rate at lower invocations? Was that a thing?
I think they nerfed the rates. Was it during this change? Overall purple chance beyond 300 is reduced. Yeah, it looks like they made some nerfs.
Yeah. So it's
Generally, which
like,
I think is fine.
yeah.
But yeah, the that jewel is really really good that they added that. And it only works in one place, and I have feelings about items that only work in one place or work a certain
Yeah.
way in one place, right? But there is a bit of a gap between
Mm-hmm.
first stab. Like really, it was Zami Hasta, and like
Yeah.
nobody was going to Zami Hasta
Mm-hmm. I mean,
anymore.
and even between Zami
So
Hasta and the Fang itself, like it's still
yeah,
huge. So the fact that they added another item that you're not going between something less than a Zami Hasta,
yeah.
to where you could be able to
Now
to
they
go and get that
added
item.
they added recently the Bell's Folly, right?
Ooh, I'm curious. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is supposed to sit between. Is that better than the Zami Hasta?
I think is it slightly worse maybe? I
I
can't
think it
remember.
looks better. Hold on, let me check. Because this item, unfortunately, I've heard that the drop rate is a little
Oh no,
rough.
isn't it between Hasta and Fang? I think is what people were saying. I'm not looked
Yeah,
into
so
the stats myself.
I'm looking right now. I think it's slower, so I can't 1-to-1 it. It might be better.
Because it
Zombie
was also,
X.
while you're looking that up, it was also nice during that time that I believe they added dry protection for the gyms. I still don't have. I think I have one of the other color gyms, but one of my goals doing TOA before I got my achievement cape, I wanted to get, I wanted to get my darn blue jewel so I could go kill KQ more efficiently, and I just never got it. It was one of my most.
Yeah.
I was so upset, and not just the blue gem. Actually, I think that may have been the one that I got after I got my achievement cape. I still don't have. Is it the yellow one that you need in order to do the spec inside the raid that restores your
Yeah,
stats?
the yellow
So
gem. Yeah.
I still don't have that one. So I feel like I do want to go talk about aspirational content. I want to go do that. I have my 350 done. I don't care about anything in between that and 500. I want to go do the 500, but I feel like I can't until I have that gem. So I'm glad that they've added it. It's just I've not taken the time to go and grind it.
Yeah, and I think the gem drop rates are better now too,
Yep.
so you might be able to get it pretty quickly, which is
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I can't really see exactly how this sits. This would have been a solve for those people who are fangless,
Mhm.
and it's supposed to be, but I think it's maybe a little too hard to get right now. This folly, but
Yeah.
it can be used everywhere, which is also a benefit. So yeah, the TOA changes were great. The Duke changes are incredible as well, just
Mhm.
not having to prep the potions as much.
Yes.
Fasani's Nightmare. I covered Fasani's Nightmares changes as well. They basically took away a phase.
Yep.
It's a great change. I still think the drop rates I think they might have made the drop rates a little better for Fasani too, right?
I think
During that change.
was it the case they nerfed the drop rates for a particular kill, but on the hour it's a better rate. Like if you can kill the boss faster, and therefore even if they made the rates, or maybe they didn't touch the rates, and maybe they're just like, well, like we'll toss you a bone now. The rates are even better technically on the hour. I can't quite remember.
Yeah, so I think they might have buffed the rates previously, and then they got rid of a phase, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So that's cool, and they also made the sleepy tablet 1 in 25, and you get it at 25, which
And
is
you respawn
also great.
outside. Yes.
And you respawn outside, which was a thing that came with Yama that they're doing more now,
Yep.
which is really nice.
Yeah.
I do. I still think Fasani's Nightmare, the fight feels a little long still. I would have even taken out an entire other face, but that's a subjective thing. I do think the drop rates are still ridiculous.
Yes.
It's still way too long, even after all those changes.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I haven't, like, it feels good when you get a drop because they are juicy, but those are few and far between. And when a boss has a group variant, I'd much rather do it with the clan, or maybe I'll wait till a bingo and go do Fasani's. But I still haven't been there. There's not been a reason to. I actually think it was on the last bingo, but someone else got the tile before me, or we had other easier tiles to go for first, so I didn't end up getting to go there. But at some point in the future. But it's also it's one of those things that I know the community sentiment on it, and I'm assuming at some point it's going to be more worth my time to go in the future instead of today. So
probably, yeah. Have you done a lot of necks, by the way? Oh, sorry, you're going to ask me as an iron, or?
Yeah, I was going to say, as an iron, is it like you don't really like you don't need ink for anything. So it's not, even as an iron, it's not worth going, I imagine.
I mean, I it's Fasani's one of those bosses that I'll do if I am in the mood. Like I'm at the point of my account where a lot of what I'm doing is raids, whatever. But since the release of like Doom and Yama, I have items to get there. But if
Yeah.
assuming I get those items and then all I have left is like getting a Siphon and Tebow again,
Yeah,
then I probably would work in Fasani just as something to do.
for sure.
So yeah, it's a good fight. It still just feels a bit like a slog, both in terms of drop rates and the fight itself. But
Yeah.
good improvements. It's just like the 6th time we've had to buff it, and it's still not in the right
Right.
spot. But
Right. I will say I would prefer that they do it this way. I mean, for the sake of how people would feel that have completed that grind or have gone there in the
Yeah.
past. I would much prefer they go this route of every year making the drop rates better instead of, so if they're going to be dropping the rates, 3 times over the course of 3 years, I'd much rather them do that instead of drop it once the total amount in that given year. I think that seems way more fair to those players. And I don't want people's desire to go to a boss be dependent upon, when an update comes in and just drastically lowers the rates. Because right now as a player, it's the argument of like, I could wait until the rates to be better, or I could actually go there now and start getting the drops.
right.
So I'd prefer they do it the route that they're doing it now, because I think they know as well. Like it's not worth it, especially when you look at where the rewards are. I'm imagining whatever bosses are weak to crush, and then like right now you're at Frost Dragons, which is the one of the staffs from Nightmare is better than the Dragon Hunter staff there, right? Or Dragon Hunter wand?
Ooh.
I want to say that's
Oh, I don't know. Wow, I'd be surprised because they buffed the wand
They
with
did.
the update we're talking about. Actually,
The wand is really good now.
the wand is much better. So QE Kodo was also part of this update. They made the rates easier, and they made the Dragon Wand more common as well in that. But the big thing was just the huge buff to the wand itself. Like I actually use it now. I think I went to go test these changes at Huey Kodo and like 2 kills and got the wand.
Nice.
Which I love that for me. And yeah, no, the wand I'm actually using right now because it's better than my shadow. I don't know about the Fasani one though. God, that would be incredible if it's stronger there with
I want to say
that
this
huge
because I was
bonus.
looking up. I want to say I was looking up calcs, and it's really easy to do. When it's like a one-handed, when it's just a weapon that you can switch off in the damage calculators and just put the stats of the Frost Dragon. And I think now you can just select Frost Dragon because the monster's been out long enough. But it wasn't enough of an upgrade to warrant me selling off items to be able to buy, that staff when I could just put 20 mil.
Yeah.
On a wand.
It could be the harmonized staff, right? Because it's 1 tick faster, right?
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
But the one item I wasn't expecting, and you mentioned Nex. If right now I have a few clan members that are running Nex, and honestly, if Dragon Wilds didn't come out, and I want to beat that for the sake of A, I love the game, and then B, I like writing bits about it in the show, and maybe as I transition to not being just GNN. Next year, maybe I'll actually report on Dragon Wilds a little bit more in depth, but I'd probably be running next with them right now just because my excuse has always been I've never had a team. I want to have a team, that way I can go. And now here they are, like they're running it, and I'm just watching from the sidelines. I think they got a couple drops today, but they made some next changes too, didn't they?
They did. Yeah, I love the next changes. I'm a huge fan of Nex. Small team Nex is very, very fun.
Mm-hmm.
They made a couple. So my favorite changes. Well, one, when you get a bolt now on like P2, it can actually go like if you get the bolt as it's reaching its threshold, you could still deal the damage.
Oh, cool.
Like where before it would like null the damage.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's similar to the changes they did for Sire, right? Where you actually damage it during its phase. Okay.
Which is very good. And now it only is to a certain point, so this really only affects small teams, and like masses, you're still likely going to hit that 0 if you hit then. And then they made Nex also do like 2 melee hits on you instead of just like potentially 1 and then move to someone else. So when you're doing small team again, that's a little bit easier because you're it's stuck on you for at least 2 hits. And I love damaging the Blood Reavers now heals you for 75% of the damage. Like,
all right,
that's so strong. You can get to full health taking out a Blood Reaver, which is really, really good. Like a Blood Reaver has how much health? Blood Reaver. And let's say there's like 3 of you hitting it, even if it's multiple people. It's got 125 health, so you're healing for 100, taking out a Blood Reaver by yourself. When you combine that with, by the way, double death charge, Yama, thank you very much. You get a lot of spec back. You get a lot of health back. It feels really, really good.
I had totally forgot about that. When Yama double death charge, I had a real like a moment during Yama that not during Yama, sorry, during Coliseum, where I really wanted to go to Yama and get the double death charge. But I was like, man, like if I go to Yama, I don't know how long it's going to take for me to get it. I could like end up being worse when I come back to Coliseum because I won't be practiced. But dude, double death charge, it feels so good.
It feels great. I went dry on it, but I think they made an update at one point that
100.
made it like more common or 100%. So the next dossier I got it no matter what.
Yep. It's 100 KC or something. Your next
perfect. Yeah, because I went like quite a bit dry, 250 or something. I don't know, but it was pretty dry. So love that change. That double death charge is just, I mean, it makes the RCS spellbook even stronger. But at least now we're using the standard spellbook here and there, so that's good.
Yes.
It's just, I guess the spellbook we're not using is Lunar as much now for Vengeance. That one's kind of fallen.
Yeah, I mean, and it really just is more Vengeance too. I guess unless you're skilling, and maybe that's the flavor they want. Maybe they want Lunar spellbook to be more for skilling, and then if you are PKing, you venge. If you're doing KQ, you venge.
It can be okay in chambers if you want to humidify if you're prepping.
Oh yeah.
To have venge, and then it also, because venge is decent at certain rooms, and then you use humidify to get out of the fire as well. So it's still okay, but yeah, it's a little less used, I suppose. Any other changes done, by the way, that to other bosses? We had Huey.
There was
Sani,
where it wasn't really a change to Cerberus. Well, no, they did change Cerberus. They changed the fire pools, where I believe it's now like it's only if you're on it, I think, that it hurts you now. I don't think it hurts you if you're next to it anymore. There was something to do with the fire pools.
Okay, good.
And then the I think for me at least the bigger thing was if you don't, as an Iron, I'm not an Iron Man, but I can't imagine wanting to do Serb just because you're going to be blowing through prayer pots, because it's like, I have my mid-game Slayer boss, and now in order for me to get a little bit more efficiency on my mid-game Slayer boss, I have to look at my notes here. I have to go kill Corporeal Beast for how many ever KC it's going to take before you get one of the sigils.
And that's which I have sitting in the bank, the Spectral, by the way, because I got the Spectral and the I know we're talking about so much RNG stuff. I got the Spectral and the one that makes the ward, whatever that one's called.
Yeah,
I got both of them. I'm at like 120 KC, so I don't even have a holy elixir to make the Spectral, even if I wanted to.
Rough.
Yeah, so I'll go get it. It's pretty easy to get, but no, the
Ward of
Ward of Arceus. Yeah, they made the prayer reduction, which isn't just used at Cerberus too, which is funny because what's his name also reduces your prayer. Well, I think Yama does actually technically when you step on those blue things.
Never.
But the bigger one is you lose a little bit on the blue one, and then what's his name? Krill.
Yep.
When he attacks you, he takes your prayer as well. So it's not just like, hey, we added this for Serb. It actually has multiple demons lower your prayer. There's 3 demons that lower your prayer that I can name off the top of my head. Now, Ward of Arceus, though, it only lasts a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit annoying to upkeep. I wish that would lasted longer. That's the only complaint I have with Ward of Arceus.
I would imagine it's meant to be a instead of a proactive spell, it's meant to be a reactive spell where okay, like we're entering the phase, here come the ghosts on Serb, I cast this spell and I'm good. I would imagine that's the reason why, and then they just did a minute to make it very forgiving.
I think they also wanted RuneScape to have like a bit of like a, I don't know, kind of that WoW feeling of casting spells and buffs, Yeah.
That is
right?
True. There is something to that where, it's, in really in my mind, I think it's just the Arceus spellbook where you do
it's only the Arceus,
whether it's for skilling or it's for PVM, because you have that with thieving, thieving spell, and then you also have the spell that buffs your damage with when you're using the Demon Bane spells, which I remember when Tormented Demons came out, I hated having to use it just because the time that it stayed on you was so short, and I would just always forget to use it, even though it's like it was a very good spell. Especially once you had because I believe there's a multiplayer with it when you're using the Scorching Staff. Or is it, no, Scorch Bow. What's the staff? The
Purging
staff.
When you had it, it'd multiply, but I think they got rid of that and just made it like 5 minutes by default or something recently, right?
I think it's longer. I want to say it's longer than. I think if you have that staff equipped, the purging staff, I think it's like 15 minutes, isn't it?
Oh yeah, maybe. Okay, so yeah, maybe they just buffed the base and then purging staff even better. That's good.
Yeah.
What's that spell called? Again, Mark. No, not Mark. Mark of
Is it
Arceus?
Mark of Darkness?
Mark of Darkness. Yeah. That's it. Or is that Mark of Darkness?
Or is that the? Okay, I think it's Mark of Darkness. I have no idea what any of them are called. I know there's the puffy cloud one that's thieving, and then you have the diamond one that is Mark of Darkness for PvEM. So
yeah, the purging staff was a 5 times, but then later they made it 3 times longer as well. So it's like, yeah, so the purging set, so it's 3 minutes without the purging staff, and I guess times 5 on that, so 15 minutes. Yeah, wow. That's good.
Yeah, one change I didn't foresee coming, because like they announced that like they were going to do all these things to make bosses like better, or like QOL changes for bosses, or make bossing feel better. I didn't anticipate them adding the steel ring at like my iron that I do have whenever I play him. Essentially the only time that I get to play him is like a league happens. I want to do it on him instead of my main. That way I can still play my main AFK. But as a person that has a baby iron, the steel ring seems like super cool, and like just adding a unique to a boss that's been out, like one of those demi bosses has been out for a while. I just thought it was like oh hey, we can do that. We can just add items to bosses that have been in the game. We don't have to create a whole new boss to bring in this super niche item. I thought that was a very good
they don't do that often. They did it with the Bofa, like as I mentioned, but like generally they don't do that. The steel ring's pretty cool. I mean, right now the steel ring, when you think about like the web of progression, is pretty much like you might go for it if you plan on doing Moons of Peril.
That's
right?
my angle.
Because it's like,
because what else are you gonna have in the ring slot at that time? You know,
nothing, right? And I think it's probably fairly common. In my opinion, it should be very common because it shouldn't be a large enough detour, right? That it's not worth going for.
Yeah.
It should be something. What is it? 1 in 100? Oh, 1 in 43. Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably go there for a couple hours and have an upgrade to help you with moons, which I think is perfect.
And it fits in neatly because I believe some irons go there anyways for it's either limbs or a rune crossbow that drops from him.
The deranged one is the one that's in Fossil Island,
correct,
which I believe doesn't drop the rune crossbow.
Is it the limbs then?
I think only it drops the limbs. Only the one in the wilderness drops the full.
Yeah, but with how easy fletching is, I mean, might as well be.
Oh yeah, fletching got a lot easier. That's true. Yeah.
Especially this year. So, because I feel like that's always been one that's been up there, just because you can do it AFK, you can earn a little bit of coin from it by selling to vendors. So now the fact that they added this mini game that also has some pretty good collection log slots on top of it, as far as those unique items, very good. Which is actually just the next month with Varlamore Part 3. That's when we started the month. I want to cover this first. I'm curious what your thoughts are. When we started this month, we had stackable clues, and oh man, I think this is a great example. I kind of alluded to this earlier when I mentioned that comment about the blowpipe, where the stackable clues were a perfect microcosm of what I would have loved to see is them removing the 1 hour timer. But because it was in the game for so long, players had gotten so accustomed to it, they end up leaving it in alongside this system that they developed to kind of remediate it. So what the system ended up being, instead of like, hey, we're offering you stackable clues and removing essentially stackable infinite clues from the ground, instead you can stack clues infinitely on the ground and you have stackable clues now with this weird convoluted system.
Yeah, so I mean the 1 hour timer should have been patched right away when it did happen. I don't even know if we get stackable clues without that being in there for a long time, though. It almost feels like not even conspiracy theory, but like
X-Files.
It kind of warmed players up, you know, to like the idea of having like, 10 clues at once. To a point where even when they first pitched stackable clues, they were like, "That's not enough. That's not enough." Yeah. Where it's like previously the sentiment was like, previously the sentiment was like, "No, we can't do this." But because of the 1 hour timer change, we're basically stacking clues to begin with. I do like the change. I'm okay with both of them existing at this point. Like, if people want to do the 1 hour thing, sure. I love the stackable clues. I love it for master clues in particular because you can like stack a lot of master clues, but you can do like 6 master clues before doing it, or 7, I think, if you chain them. Because if you get the 5 plus you load some into Watson. No, sorry, I'm wrong. You can do like 11. My bad. because you can have like the 5 in your bank.
Yep.
Then you can have 5 of each tier in your bank that you then turn into Watson for another 5, plus potentially another one on top of that. So it's like 10 plus master clues you can do at once, which I like. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I didn't like having to stop my openings to do my
Yes.
master clues and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, is there this idea of like distraction and diversion content that's like has a heritage in RuneScape? Sure, but there also has to come to the conversation of like, is that good game design pulling you out of the content that you want to be doing or that you're focusing on doing? I don't think that's good game design. Like there is some sense where you want friction in your game design where people aren't getting bored, but I think you want that on the micro level, not on the macro level, like clues are, because essentially like that was my one critique about. I loved the charting from sailing. I do feel like it fell short because it felt like it kept. I wanted to sail, darn it, and every time I tried to start charting while I was sailing, I got removed from like exploring and having fun because I was getting put back on land. And at least the original design for clues always seemed like it wanted to take you out of Slayer, it wanted to take you out of bossing, and now you can look at clues as a activity to go do instead of a distraction and diversion, which that's not what was intended, but I do think it's a better game design for sure.
I mean, yeah, it definitely wasn't intended, but at the same time, that's how clues, like whether intended or not, the way people have been doing clues the past 8 years, it's you're doing clues or you're not doing clues.
Yes.
Like they weren't being like the intention wasn't matching the player's experience. People who wanted to do clues would actively open up jars or go catch implings or go do whatever method and then do the clues as their active method. So what we have now lines up more with what the actual reality is. And I prefer it. I do.
Yes.
I haven't done like a ton of Slayer since these changes, but the idea that I can go to like whatever Slayer creature and not feel bad if I get a drop, because what I used to do is like if I got one hard clue at like Necrils, for example, like that was my hard clue for my task. So I would not get any more at that point. But now it's like I could actually get like 3 or 4 before like, and then after the task, I could have that potential distraction, right?
Yeah.
But I actually completed the task first. So I like where it is now. I like stackable clues. Now I will admit that at times I still end up to the point where I basically end up with the old system because I have 5 clues in my bank anyways.
Yeah.
Pretty much for sailing. That's exactly what happened. Every time I saw a clue turtle, I couldn't pick it up. So yeah, so there's still that, but I'm a fan of the system. I got all my unlocks pretty much right away because I had a ton of clues already done. So it's something to shoot for to get those unlocks as well for people. I don't know how it feels from their perspective to get those, like the minor boxes and stuff like that, but and the major boxes.
Well,
but
as a person that completely stopped doing elites and hards, I think maybe I would do just mediums for the sake, because I know that I could get a money drop and the collection logs were easier. Easy clues were easy collection logs as well. But I just stopped doing hards and elites. I had enough hards done to get both of the cases, but like I have a reason to go do elites now, which I like that. I'm gonna actually do elites, so it reinvigorated that content that before I had just totally written off.
Dude, I have so many elites done. Like a lot of people don't do elites. I think I'm the only person who thinks like this. I know a lot of people turn their elites into masters, right?
Yeah.
To try to go for masters. Dude, I'm totally fine with the elites having a 1 in 5 chance of giving a master clue and just rolling the dice with those. Because like I'm getting a lot of master clues either way. Now, if I was actively farming, it's a different story. I don't have like the most enjoyable time doing master clues anyways. So I just roll the dice and try to get 1 in 5 on elites. So I have a good amount of elites done just for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose my excuse was just that it's just like, I don't make me do one more clue. Like I just give me the master, please. I want to get done with this. So I do think as well that having the 5 stackable clues, you don't have to feel like you have to engage. That was my problem with the 1 hour timer. It's like I have to engage with littering the crafting guild with a whole bunch of clue scrolls. Now instead I can stack up 5 and then I'll decide to go do them. Or maybe I don't. Maybe now I just waste clues. Whereas before I had this 1 hour timer thing where I didn't feel like felt like I had no other option. I have to litter the floor. But minor note, Soul Wars was also nerfed in July. So that's I just wanted to mention that because that was actually a really popular Iron Man strategy early on, was to go and do Soul Wars, because you could get a lot of very good resources, good alks from there to really start your account. And now that's not an option you can do. You actually have to play the game. Crazy. I don't. It is sad to some extent, because with Soul Wars, Castle Wars, it's content that we loved doing in the in the 2000s, and now it's just, if you're a pet hunter, you'll go do Soul Wars, I guess, but there's not really a reason to do it outside of that.
Soul Wars is super fun during any leagues, though. Like,
Yes,
it's
fun's
it's
a
very
word.
fun.
Yeah. Fun's, it depends. If I know, like when they did, was it Trailblazer? I believe the first Trailblazer, where like if you weren't a mage, oh boy. It was a hard time if you were like taking the melee relic and you were just trying to do some Soul Wars for a task. But, in any case, Varlamore was the big release for July, and with it, lots of stuff. 2 bosses, right? You had a great quest. I loved the fights from the quest. There's also some sense where I hope in the future they remake Nightmare Zone, because I know, at least myself, a lot of people have a problem with where Nightmare Zone is. Like, it's just weird outside of Yanil for some reason. And like, you can't have any of these super awesome boss fights that have come out in the modern era of old school, where you have these awesome boss fights. You're never going to go back and do them. Some of them you actually can retry, like is it Galvac comes to mind from Dragon Slayer 2. I think there's some CAs that evolve it. But like, you have these cool boss fights, but you're never going to go do them again. So I'd like to see something like, I don't know how much you played RuneScape 2, like that era between 2007 and 2012, where they had Dominion Tower, where you could go in and do those boss fights.
I didn't play any. Yeah, no.
But they had at least a similar thing where you could go and redo some of the boss fights. I'd like to see something like that, just because I thought the boss fights were really, like, they weren't hard by any means, but they were fun. They were cool.
They were very good.
And I think that's something that it's a shame we only get to do it once unless you remake. But with that came the sword you were talking about. But the 2 bosses, the more important one, of course, is Gym Crab. Like, everyone was talking about Gym Crab. Like all the WoW players, they loved it.
Yeah, Gem Crab's incredible. It's so good, and it's so funny. It's like, there's this weird thing in old school where you hop to a world and you're like, wow, there's 200 people. Like, this world would be pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, you see like 15 people at Crab, and you're like, how is it that like almost 10% of the world's population is at the Crab right now? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It felt like that even more before, where it was like, I would log into a world with 200 people at Crab, and there'd be like 20 people there, and it's like, how is this even a thing? Crab's great. I didn't like fighting for crabs. It's just like a cool boss. I had a Varlamore account going for a while, so I was going there to get my my gems from it, my Dragonstone gem, which is fun. But no, it's a good boss. If I ever made a new account, this is just, I think, getting players to the mid and end game is kind of important, and having them have this ability, this well-known method of leveling, so that they can start doing stuff like, as you mentioned, this kind of goes over Scurious a little bit, but still, like something like Royal Titans, for example. Like, this is a great way to get your stats up for Royal Titans.
Yep.
And any future content. So W update, the way it was implemented was very good too, just like where it exists in the overworld. I like that it's in the overworld. It's not like an instance or anything like that, which I want more of. So yeah, who doesn't like the Gem Crab? Right. It was very popular, very good.
It's not like they were spoiling players either, because I mean, players were already doing some sort of AFK training, whether it was at Crabs or if they progressed their account enough. You had the Sulfur Naguas, you had older than Sulfur Naguas, you had the not Nightmare. My goodness, I just said it. Just outside of Yanil there.
Nightmare Zone.
Nightmare Zone. Goodness me. You had Nightmare Zone. But as you mentioned, like Nightmare Zone, you're in an instance. Sulfur Naguas, that comes maybe later than you'd like people to have the ability to AFK for. So the rates aren't totally breaking the game. I think they're perfectly fair. I think they're so good to where it's almost a noob trap, where some people are going to spend too much time AFKing Crab, where their AFK time could be spent better elsewhere, getting those other skills up to be able to go and progress their account more because of skill requirements for a quest or an item, whatever that may be. So that's not too good in the sense of like they need to be nerfed, but they're so good that people are getting caught in this noob trap of just only AFKing the Gym Crab.
Yeah. Well, like I think when you're a new player, you're not thinking about AFKing your skills as much. You're like a lot of people are just trying to get stronger.
Yes.
And that's what makes this great. And even though crabs existed before, if you had like a friend join, you explain them, hey, you want to go to here and you want to like put yourself in between 3 crabs, whatever. There's like still friction to that.
Yes.
Versus being like, there's this giant crab.
You want to go
You're
kill
just
the
gonna
boss.
stay here. It just and it's a boss too, which is kind of cool. And there's other players there, and you're not getting crashed. It's just easier for newer players to get into something like that, which I'm a huge fan of. It was like it was just such a simple thing to add, and I think they just executed the simplicity very well.
Yeah, I love the mechanic of having to pursue it through a tunnel. That makes way more sense to a new player than so you want to go actually a certain radius away in order to re-aggro and then run back. Having to
that's
go through
a great
tunnel,
point.
way better.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, sure, we'll go over Doom because he's the other boss, or it's the other.
He's the other boss that digs into the ground with this update,
but not horizontally. He digs vertically, which we're not supposed to like vertical progression here in RuneScape. But this is like this is altitude, I guess, so it's fine. I, as a person who, like, when Doom came out, I didn't have my Inferno or Quiver yet. It was one of the two. Maybe I had one of them. But it came out and I did it on release, but I didn't want to put too much time into it because I wanted to get back to either of those grinds. I can't quite remember. But I love how well it teaches you how to do the next floor on the previous floor. I love it so much. Like, I feel like anyone can do the 8th tier just because if you're doing the previous ones, you're getting practice. So good.
Yeah, at some point, yeah. But, to get to that point, if you don't have a lot of PVM experience, can still be a bit of a struggle. I think there's some players doing it right now. I think Sardarko was doing it, like, very recently as well. It's, it's pretty good design. I like that aspect of slowly adding mechanics. Like, the easier waves, though, when you do get to that point, do become a bit...
That's true.
Like, slow, but... and... because of the way the drop rates are, you could come to this boss a lot earlier than you're supposed to if you're okay with the drop rates being like not that great, but having a chance of getting like an incredible item. But yeah, this is like the first end game boss we're getting in a very long time. Like the Colosseum? Like what was the last end game thing before? Like true end game.
I mean, that's what they compared it to because it's at some point the Mage Cape was supposed to come from Doom.
Right.
So they were definitely thinking in the realm of this being a very in-game piece of content. So this has been like it has been a while. And shoot, when did Kalo come out? Was that 2 years ago? Because that was the first wave of
at least, yeah, like 2023, I think. Right.
Let's see how fast I can type.
Keyboard.
2024,
early 2024.
Yeah. So it's been
wow, there's only like a year and a bit, between them. That's crazy. Time. Can't believe that. But yeah, I guess that's still like over a year without something on endgame, right? A year and a half-ish. So it was nice to get something endgamey, and it has that, unique delve mechanic where you can just keep going deeper and deeper, which can be very hard to balance because players are going to be able to like be very good and get a ton of uniques. But I'd say generally the items are probably still pretty good value. I assume I haven't looked in a while, but they still seem pretty good.
Well, it's also just
all 3 items are really good as well.
Yeah, within 2 weeks, we were already at the point where it wasn't the question of, hey, how many can you do? It's how many can you do in a 6-hour log?
Yeah.
Like people are like, you're too good. Like, what are you doing?
Too good. And I'm not even like, for me, I can't maintain that focus for that long. Like, holy, I'm going to like delve 12 and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. And I'm leaving. So, but I do like that. I do like that players have that option that you can max it out. Now, you have to get to wave 9 to get the best chance, which is, it's kind of advertised as 8 waves, but that's fine. And, it's got some interesting mechanics, and there was some clunkiness with it, and they've also made a couple changes to it that have made it better as well. I think it's in a good place. I think the drop rates are pretty good, probably like... Yeah, it doesn't take too long to go on raid for a lot of things, which is fine. There's always like you never know with updates if it's ever going to be something that's like a ridiculous grind or it's going to be an easy grind or it's somewhere in the middle. Because they've gone all 3 directions. Just this year, they've gone in all 3 directions.
Yeah, and
I'd say probably Doom is probably one of their better balancing in terms of drop rates. But
And it
Yeah, I could see this being a boss that not everybody's going to enjoy the way that this boss is. But who doesn't love the car phase? Like,
it's
oh
cool.
my gosh.
It's cool. It's also rewarding because what is it? You don't just hit very hard. You always hit during car phase? Is that what it is?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
100% accuracy.
like
It feels so good.
It just feels good. It just feels good. And the items, the reward space, I remember back at that time, it was so contentious, like what this boss was going to drop. And throughout all of that, like I think we ended up with something that's like a very good set of items. The confliction gauntlets, I think there is some sense where, like, are they a bit convoluted where it only works with one-handed weapons? Sure. I'm curious when they rework Shadow, because I know they're talking about it. They know that Shadow is not where they want it to be just because it warps the whole skill around it, unlike the other Mega Rares, because the other Mega Rares, they have their niches where they excel a lot, where Shadow is just like, yeah, man, your mage spells, your magic is just going to hit even harder. So anytime you update a piece of armor to that skill, it's going to end up being
it's pretty much your option. Now elemental weaknesses have changed that a little bit, but yeah, it's just mage. We only have 2 levers right now of monster defenses, right? Mage level and elemental weakness. So yeah, Shadow is king for all of them. The gauntlets are good. They're still good on the Shadow. Now if they rework the Shadow, which they will in the future, I think they should change the gauntlets. I think they should just make them just a, what they give 7% now, just bump them up to like whatever 10% and just call it a day.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd be fine even if it was a trade-off that you made where, like, you maybe just keep the mage strength where they're at, but like because I love the ability on them, like the ability of because they have the ability with accuracy, don't they? Isn't that
they do? Would you make the Shadow work with it? My point is, I don't want an item not working with it because we're trying to,
I would prefer however they can rework the Shadow, if it's even possible, to have that unique effect on the gauntlets work with the Shadow, however they end up doing it. Because I agree with you. I don't want there to be this weird, like, hey, this only works with one-handed weapons, especially when, like, there's 2 of them. So it feels like you should be, I don't know, it feels like it should work with two-handed weapons if you have 2 gauntlets. But
yeah,
there is some sense where they do it all the time with the wilderness, and I feel like that's one of the weaker parts of the game is because of all those various things that are just different between the 2 games, effectively, like the wilderness and the rest of the game. Where whenever that's done elsewhere, I don't like it. I am curious about the Avernic Treads, what they end up doing in the future, because I'm sure it's going to be forever until these are updated. Because, I mean, we were just talking about the Z Knights. Those were released in 2016, and we have some of them being replaced like this year even. So we're talking like 10 years Z Knights were BIS in the game. So I'm imagining like the boots could be in the game BIS for the next 10 years. But I am curious, like, if they do end up releasing an upgrade for these in the future, which is weird to think about an update like that could potentially be 10 years in the future. Do you think the boot slot from here on out is just going to be your hybrid slot where it's always going to be it's always the boots combined, or do you think they break it up again?
Right. So yeah, they could do 1 and 2 paths, which is break it up again, and then you have 3 boots to upgrade from, and then in the future you recombine them, or you just keep it as is as the tribrid slot. I think for old school RuneScape, I've gone back and forth on this, but I think for old school RuneScape, I think at this point you just keep them as the dedicated tribrid slot. So you solve the 8-way switch problem, right, of having like the 9-way, and just the next upgrade we get to the boots are just a better version of the tribrid boot. You could break it up again, but because they've done things like that before. We've had like Barrow's gloves is the example of that, right? But I don't think because of the switching system, I think we just agree for the foreseeable future, which to me is like 7+ years, to keep these as a tribrid slot. And then when you upgrade them, just keep it that way. So probably even more than 7 years, because like you said, we probably won't see another boot slot upgrade for a while. So
the reward space for this could have just been like all the boots combined. The fact that they're better is like that's wild to me. That not only is it your tribrid boot, it's your tribrid boot. Oh my goodness, why can't I talk? It's your tribrid boot that is better than all of the other ones before it. That's really cool.
Yeah, I love them, dude. I have them on all the time.
Yeah, they look
I love the boot slot because they've definitely tried things with the boot slot. Between the ones you get from Iraq sites that take away the web effect.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool that they added that. Great for top learning, Sirachnis, stuff like that. They got the Echo booths. Now, do I think they're great? No, but do I think it's a cool idea
Yes.
that they have this effect? Awesome. I love that. And I hope they continue to have other boots come out that could have these niche uses, but these are going to be king for the next, like, basically 7 years.
I hope they continue the Thorns effect on the Echo boots. If
Mhm.
if you ended up getting like a whole armor kit for melee that is like reflect damage, that would be super fun for Slayer. Just being able to see all those hit splats go off.
Yeah.
I assume at some point you reach a threshold where it's completely broken, but whatever. I don't care. I just like I love Thorns build in like games like PoE. So if we could have a Thorns build in RuneScape, I think it'd be awesome.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
the Eye of Ayok it's neat. I think it's kind of boring. It's just like what Fang for Magic, but I don't know. You need something to to close gaps. But I feel so bad for the Sanguinesti. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the Sang is brutal. So the Eye is straight better, other than the fact that Sang has a healing effect, but it's pretty inconsistent, but it costs a ton as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they'll ever fix the Sang. I have 2 of them, and I like practically never use it because I have the Eye and I have the Shadow.
Yeah.
So TOB has unfortunately like got basically nothing going for it other than Scythe right now.
Yeah,
just holding it up.
You are hunting the mega rare, which that's where
You're
TOA
hunting the mega
was.
rare, yeah.
Like, well, I should say as a main, that's where TOA was. All the other uniques had lost a lot of their value. You were really just there for the shadow.
I see. Yeah.
Now,
but it's a cool. I like that it's 3-tick. Like I think that's an
Yeah.
area that I was looking for a while was some sort of like 3-tick mage or 2-tick mage.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that when you're using it at Doom, it charges itself every floor.
Yep.
You gain a little bit of tears, so that's how I've been gaining tears. I like the tears themselves, like similar to Zulrah. Like there's kind of always a reason to go back to Doom or to go to the skilling part for Doom. So I'm overall a fan. Now it's a 3-tick weapon, which means like the longer we get more mage upgrades, the stronger this becomes relative to stuff like Trident, Sang.
Yep.
Now for Shadow, it's a little bit different because it's like multiplying, so it doesn't affect the Shadow, but it does continue to separate itself further and further the more we get. And in some ways, it's almost too close to Shadow with some content, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It's still a cool item, very easy to get in my opinion. Like compared to the Sanguinesti, like if you're going for that, you could probably even make this a skip for a lot of accounts. Like you could skip Trident potentially and just go straight for this. And a lot of accounts, there's a lot of like areas where you won't do this, but like there's so many items in Slayer you can kind of skip now. Like you could arguably skip the whip, could skip the Trident, but you can't ultimately skip Slayer because you need to get to the points where you get your primordial boots and stuff like that.
Yeah. And it's not just the case where you're going out of your way to skip this either, or at least going out of your way to set up to skip this, because I mean, if you're going the route of farming tormented demons to be able to get your synapses, that puts you in a very good position to just go to Doom as well.
It does,
what is the reason to go to Top these days outside of having fun at the best raid ever? Every time
outside of being the best raid,
yes.
Yeah. No, I need my sight. That's what I need, and then I got to jump into hard modes as well. But yeah, no, Doom is great. Gem Crab's great. The fletching activity is like really, really solid as well. It doesn't feel like a mini game at all. Because it's not like it's an activity, right? In my opinion, and it takes place in the overworld where there's other things you can do there, like chop trees for forestry, or whatever else. I almost wish it was like one other small activity you could do there, like even a decent fishing spot or something. So yeah, the fletching activities really solved fletching for a lot of accounts as well. Like you can go there early on an account now, which I like having options. Before it was like, go get to 50 fire making, go to Winter Todd, gain some levels, some GP, some items. It's like that's not the case anymore. You can do that. You can go to Tempuros. You can do fletching instead. Like having those options you can go to, it feels great. And I'm a big fan of this mini game.
Yes,
I thought it was very well done.
For the sake of flavor, I love when you like I trained barbarian fishing to 99 fishing, but I hated dropping all my fish along the way. I like you now have a use for all those bows you're making. Before it may have felt like a waste. Maybe they're just chilling in your bank. Maybe before you would have felt inclined to just make broad bolts, because if something's just going to sit in your bank anyways, not broad bolts, broad arrows. You may as well just make broad arrows. So now, like you're making use of that waste, which I really like. I also, as you said, it's out in the world, way better than it being an instanced thing. It makes the world feel more alive. You mentioned forestry clogs. I did go there and I just AFK'd for forestry. I got all of my fletching collection logs before I got any of my egg or the whistle.
Yeah.
But it was, I felt more efficient, and it was.
You felt more efficient because you were able to do fletching and forestry. Like, it's so good.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I love that for that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was already 99 fletching, but I can't imagine like now you can actually train those two sister skills together. Like, it actually makes sense to train those, and not just in a way where you're fletching them into bows and then dropping them on the ground. You're fletching them into bows. You're decorating. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the area. And speaking of that area, there's also the Custodia Pass Slayer dungeon, which you do in that area, and the area that's just to the northwest of it. Super cool for flavor. I don't think it impacts the meta in any way. I don't know if just because of how easy the Dragon Defender is to get, I don't know how useful that offhand is to get. I don't know if people are hurting for like ranged offense in the offhand. So it's cool for AFK prayer, I guess. The monsters are really cool, and I'm totally fine if things are coming into the game just for the sake of flavor. That's all right, because it also gives areas that they can put content in later anyhow. So
yeah, it's an okay item. Like, it can be a good hybrid item. I think the Slayer requirement to end up getting it is like maybe 67, maybe higher than that, because it only drops from a certain type of creature. I think it mostly is going to be used for ranged, right? Like, as a range offhand. I'm trying to remember. I think it might give magic accuracy, but not damage. I can't remember exactly. But no, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it as a creature as well. It's good to have things like this in the mid game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if it's just a new area to go to. And I'm curious where they, because there's times that I was like almost dying to them. Like, just going there, I wasn't paying attention enough, and their bleed effect is interesting. I'm curious, with sailing now releasing the bandages that you use. Are people actually going to go out of their way to use those there? I probably wouldn't if you're just praying the whole time, but who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
But yeah, Varlamore Part 3, also like just a great way to end the new area. It feels like a genuinely like a filled out area, except for Tempestus. I don't know what is going to go there. I don't know what was in Tractor's original vision of it, but you can't sail up there yet, right? Because we don't have the appropriate facilities / boat parts. So
/ there is a hard wall that you cannot cross. Yeah.
Okay.
All the oceans on the right side and north, they have a hard wall as well. Yeah. Even if you found a way to get through.
I think I heard that in a video. There's been a couple good lore folks that have been up and coming. There's another guy who had a couple good videos, and now I feel bad because I want to give him props and I can't, but oh well. I'll put his channel in the description, but he was going into like the stuff in the southeastern of the map, not the eastern one, but the one that's like has the hands coming out of the water. Anyhow, Varlamore Part 3, super encouraged by completely new content. Like, this isn't being placed into old Gillinor. This is like completely new content, and it was just fire. The next month in August,
and just like really quickly, like even outside of the gameplay, like in terms of the environment and the audio and the music, like Varlamore Part 3 is incredible. Yes. I loved it all.
The Auburnvale doesn't just look good; it sounds amazing as well.
Yeah.
And even south of Varlamore, it wasn't Varlamore Part 3, but where the doors are, that soundtrack for that place, holy, it sounds so good. So August we're in now, right? If that was July, we're in August. More Slayer changes. This is weird because like it completely changed how you do Slayer as you're leveling up. Like, it actually makes sense to start getting involved in the Slayer rewards at a lower level, whereas before you'd really just you wouldn't bother just because it wasn't worth it, right? Like, why am I going to spend, was it 90 points to be able to salt slugs automatically? No.
Yeah.
And like I love the idea of you have a a master that you set up to use for bosses, and then you have a master that you've set up to use for hunting the heart. I really, really think that's some before that was just design space that was just sitting unused that they made useful.
Yeah. Oh, the Slayer changes are like one of my favorite updates of the year. I love it for so many reasons. It does require, they made a lot of things reduced points, but man, to set up those block lists, it costs a lot of points to set them all up. So I had to do some point boosting for that.
Which also gives you something to use your points for, because I know at some point you're really not using your points except to do a whole bunch of skipping during a bingo. At least that's where I was. But now I'm like, man, I wish I didn't skip during that bingo. I wish I did use these to actually progress my account.
Oh, yeah. At this point, I think I have all my masters set up, even ones I'm not going to use. Because other than Vanica, because I'll never use Vanica.
Right.
But no, the Slayer changes were great. They made it so much better. They made it a little bit better to do stuff like your heart grind while doing other things. They made it a lot better for leveling for players, both in terms of unlocks and blocking. They also made like point boosting is way better now too, because they made Masner like way better. The one in Mauritania. Way better than before, so I love that for point boosting. And pretty much all of them have a use other than Vanica, which is great. Huge W for these Slayer changes. I love them so much.
Yeah,
the block list on all the creatures is just so good. Also, the interface of seeing like what the weight of everything is just so much better than looking at the wiki.
Because one thing the wiki couldn't tell you either was, because I'm pretty sure the one in game, doesn't it update based on what your current block list is, whereas the one on the wiki just gives you the weights, right? So
yeah,
very, very useful, very cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So love it.
And then there's just anything where you're actually getting the lower level accounts to start engaging with, like, because what Slayer is killing monsters, and then you have this shop where you're utilizing the benefits from. And when you're a lower level, like, you really don't want to skip just because it feels like such a waste, because you're going to be on the next master at some point. So now it makes you feel like as a lower level player you can actually engage with the skill, which very good. Anytime we can do that to prevent people from delaying engaging in content, the better. So I'm very, very happy with this update. We mentioned that, like, would you take any of these QOL changes or all of these QOL changes? This one is one of those that is so big for the year that there are going to be knock-on effects because of this, where the game is completely different because of it. Just it's a skill that a lot of people love it. A lot of people don't, because of all of the UI hoop jumping that you have to do. And now it's that badness has been removed. So awesome.
Yeah, this to me is probably the best QRL update of the year.
Yeah. And then, of course, this is very weird. There's sometimes where I completely forget about this, and then I withdraw all of my box traps. But if you don't know, hunter traps, as of one of the updates in August, they started stacking, which bothers me a little bit, but it's better. Like from a person that is forgetful, or like if I AFK and then I don't have 5 box traps anymore, that can be bad. But very weird to see a stack number above your box trap.
Yeah, I honestly realized that recently, where I was like, oh, was it always like this?
Yeah. So weird.
I completely missed that one. Yeah.
And then we had, understandably, some small updates, kind of some small updates to the main game through September and October. In September, we saw that pet insurance, you don't have to pay the gold now for the tokens to be able to get your pet, which at some point now I'm like, why don't we just keep pets regardless? Like, why do we even have to go to Pro Beta if we don't have the gold sync? What's the reason, you know?
Yeah.
October, super small changes, but they had this horrible interface change with the room pouch. That's been fixed, actually. I think that was one of the December updates that was fixed relatively recently.
It just got fixed like this Wednesday. Yeah.
Man, I don't want to say that anyone did a horrible job, and they should feel bad about it, but nobody liked it. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
When it comes to the stash items in October, they had a nice QOL where you can do the do the clue and then go ahead and just equip it. You don't have to unequip. Sorry, not equip it. You can go ahead and just put them back in the stash. You don't have to unequip them.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, yeah, like that's going to be great. I'm never going to run into the problem of where I forget to put my items in the stash. I still have the problem where I do the clue and then I just don't click it. I just still forget.
Yeah.
So,
and even with this change, a lot of times if you're wearing items, you have to put the items back on anyways.
Mhm.
So it's like not a
Yeah.
huge change, but still stuff like this is nice.
Yeah. I just want at some point in RuneScape 3, they had an update where you did a quest, and then so long as you had the items in the stash unit, you could just do the emote.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind something like that eventually because I don't enjoy the experience of pulling it out, especially when I'm trying to be efficient and I have so many different teleports on me. Sometimes I'm out of space or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and I just want to, or at least like have it automatically equipped on
Yes.
me, and like, but I don't know what it would do with items I already have on me.
Yeah.
But it's maybe if I had room, it would do that automatically. But I wouldn't mind something like what you said, like if it's kind of automatic. But we'll see. We probably won't see that for a while.
Yeah. I think the
easy escape and all that.
Right. and just to make people, I don't know, not be too bad. I think a way to make it very like you could even have it be aspirational content for clues where you have to have all of your scroll cases and then you do a quest for Yuri or for Watson maybe where you
that'd be cool.
Where you get that final QOL for doing clues. And then
that'd be cool. Yeah.
No one expected this just because we were told we weren't getting a leagues this year. We ended up getting Gridmaster, which was, I think, in my opinion, better than leagues because I would burn out in leagues. This, I got to complete it all. I got to do all of the I didn't do one of the tiles. Which one didn't I do? I didn't do the one for the Awakened bosses. Like, I don't want to learn this yet. I tapped out early.
Rip.
I just wanted to get back to the game. I don't know what I was doing at the time, but
yeah,
I thought it was awesome. I was not expecting it at all.
Probably the Whisper, actually, now I'm thinking about it, because that one was tough. Because it was basically the real fight.
Yeah.
In Gridmaster.
Are you telling me I can't cheese this content? That's not what I'm playing this for, okay?
Yeah, I want to cheese everything, exactly. Gridmaster was very fun. It's like I wasn't super hyped when it was announced, but like that happens with me with leaks. I get more and more hyped as I see like the teasers and stuff. And it was very clear heading into Gridmaster, like we were gonna be like so strong, like because it's basically all the leagues combined with unlimited content to do, and they delivered on that. It'll be very interesting next league. We need that time, right, to forget this power spike, because next league we're gonna probably be weaker.
Yeah, during the next
which is
league,
fine.
Like, is this the main game? I thought we were playing league. What's going on?
Yeah,
we're gonna.
But it was such a good event, like at a good time where we hadn't had a few updates.
Yeah,
like big updates. Like last big one was probably the Slayer one.
Yep.
Which wouldn't impact most players anyways.
Yeah. So, really
so
since
yeah,
July, because you did have the Slayer changes as you mentioned in August, but it was
the new content would have been Varlamore in July. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was a very cool event. I played for probably 3 days or so, which is pretty on par to what I do with leagues. I'm not like a hard Dragon Cup leagues person. I'm pretty much like I play it, unlock everything, and then I usually get bored sometime after I unlock everything, which is what happened in Gridmaster. But I had a lot of fun doing it, and the challenges were fun. It was a lot quicker than I thought, which is good. Like it's fine that it's quick, and I think a lot of the players having things like this, it's a perfect. It scratched that league itch. Like I had a feeling league was going to be skipped because of sailing, and because of Varlamore Part 3. Like that's a lot of resources.
It is. For sure.
So I wasn't surprised with leagues being bin this year. Yeah. But coming up with this was practically a league for me. Like I had a ton of fun.
And the most exciting thing with this going into the future is that like they revealed this isn't just a UI, like this is their tech for clan bingos being official in game. And that is awesome. As a person that's like I don't organize the bingos, but as a person that even just participating, like having to take screenshots, upload them to Discord, not having to worry about any of that, having that all in game.
Amazing.
Very cool. Very cool.
It almost makes me. I'm in a clan. I've been in a clan for a very long time. This clan, but it's a pretty casual clan, and there's skill of the week and stuff like that. But it's pretty hands off. This almost makes me want to like start my own clan or jump into another clan that will have events like this. But we'll have to see when it gets implemented.
I would love to see, like even if they did do this, if the tech's there, if you could have because I know what a lot of people like to do is clan versus clan bingo. I would like to see almost a leaderboard where maybe like every month, every quarter, where Jagex has a bingo board they release themselves that you complete in the main game, and then there's a who are the first 10 clans to get the bingo board done.
Interesting. Yeah.
That would be very
wow,
cool.
that'd be cool. I'm thinking I would love to use this in the future for content in terms of like not even through clan, but even if I'm doing my own thing or I invite a few people to do it, creating like some sort of events or challenges. It's like, hey, you need to complete these tasks, but you can't do this or something like that, right?
Yeah.
That might be hard without the crazy multipliers or anything like that. But if it depends on the tasks we're able to select. If the tasks are like, I can make them simple in terms of like do the giant mole and get this, but then add my own restrictions, it could be fun for content. So I'm excited. Maybe we'll get a little bit more of that with the Winter Summit. Like that'll be one of the touch points that they say.
Dude, I completely fell out. Like I was thinking more like big content, but in my mind, like the bingo board, if they go wider with it than just what is that? Like intramural bingos at in your clan, if they do something bigger with it, I'd be totally here for it. And that was just enough, like Gridmaster, it was also just enough to hold us over until sailing in November.
Yeah, perfect timing, honestly.
It was, but like the content drought could have been there. I know my thing with this year has been so hard. Like I've been wanting to take breaks. I wanted to play the Oblivion remaster when it came out, and I've just straight up, I was like, I've already played Oblivion like a lot to death. Like I've played it through dozens of times. I'm like, it's going to be prettier, but I'm not going to worry about playing through it this time, just because I keep getting games added to my backlog where I want to step away, not to burn out from RuneScape, but I keep seeing myself want to go back to it and play it, which is super weird, right?
It's weird, dude. I've taken the most amount of breaks I think I've taken in a long time with Old School.
Yeah.
But it's not a reflection of the game, because if I'm thinking about what I'm doing more varied content that I've done in previous years. Like pretty much the year before this, I felt like I was doing TOB and Chambers. Like that was it. Where it's like this year, I've done barely any of those because I'll try other games or whatever, and I'll play a little bit of RuneScape on the side, or I'll play it actively. But then it's like, oh well, now I got to do Yama, now I got to do Doom. I still have to do those because I don't have all the items. Oh, I have Sailing I'm working on now, right? Oh, Slayer. Okay, let's see if I can get Imbued Heart. Like this year has been great, even though I've taken a good amount of breaks this year. And I think I've been also taking more breaks because I've been focusing on content more as well.
Yeah.
But like it's not a reflection of a poor year at all. Like I've had a ton of fun this year with Old School RuneScape.
Yeah, I intentionally was telling myself after the Inferno grind, after the Quiver grind, I was going to take a break until whatever X content came out. And then I still find myself like Yama came out. I haven't done that yet. I'm going to go ahead and so I haven't burnt out. Like, and that's awesome. But
yeah.
I would love if I actually got to. I have been playing Arc Raiders a lot over the past month. That's been super fun. But like I want to play. Expedition 33 has been on my list to hit, and I still haven't hit it. I really want to play it, but
I was just looking through Steam for a game I could just play a little bit just on the side, and I've been back and forth with Arc Raiders. I played a little bit of Mega Bonk, which is fun.
Yes.
But yeah, I was looking today for probably an hour. I was looking at new releases and stuff. I like sometimes dumping a little bit, to try out a new game while like salvaging or whatever.
Yes. No, that's the thing too, is that when I was maxing, I felt like I had the ability to play other games. So maybe that's my issue. Maybe I just don't have, and that's why I've been playing Arc Raiders so much, is it's just that it's not just that Arc Raiders came out. It's also that I've been salvaging on my other monitor.
You've been salvaging. Yeah, it's such a good activity, dude.
It is. It's so good.
Yeah.
And now I have the Dragon Wilds game that I've been trying to play. It's just, there's so much in RuneScape that makes me want to play, even though I want to play the other stuff. It's like I want to take a break and I still can't.
It's a good problem to have.
It is. But there is one thing that I have a question about with Sailing that I'm curious what your thoughts on it are. Because, I mean, you've talked with Sailing a great deal with Sae Bae. I've talked a great deal about it last week with Trey. There is like this idea of future progression, which could be years off, right? Because I mean, when are they going to want to update, Sailing's combat or anything with the Sailing progression right now with, Dragon being the top? The reason why I bring this up is just because when I look at where items are placed in the levels, a lot of people have a lot of flack with smithing and like you're crafting rune items at level 90, even though it's like a tier 40, armor and weapon.
Yeah.
We have a similar thing that has just happened with sailing, and I don't see a lot of people talking about it. The fact that like you need level 92 sailing in order to equip your dragon cannon. So is there some sense like what happens in the future when we have the Barrows tier of sailing items being released?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think they made it this way. It's gonna be a long time, I think, before we get something like that, because to me, sailing, like the combat version of it, like it's still a ways out, and also like still not a primary focus for me for sailing, generally speaking. But I do think it's a little bit different than smithing, and I think the key difference is, well, one, it's already better in terms of scaling. Like smithing's like very bad. This is like, okay, yeah, there's an argument 90s is, dragon, but even then, at least there's some room above there. But the main thing is, like, to me, sailing, like, to get 99 in sailing is not a tall order. Like, it is not a tall order to get 99. You have like great options that are both either fast or like super hands off AFK, and you can do a mix of them, and you can get to 99 fairly easily. The real grind for sailing comes post 99, right? When you need to get unique items, when you need to like upgrade your boats, stuff like that. So I think by extension, any progression we give in the future will feel sort of similar. It's less about having 95, 96, 97 to be able to build it, and more about like post 99 content, right? Sort of like with combat skills. Like you get 99 strength and 99 attack, right? Like way before you get like your scythe and your big weapons, right? That stuff comes after you've gotten that level. So it feels like sailing is going to feel similar in that sense. So I could imagine there being upgrades maybe down the line to your boat or to your cannon that, will just be like best in slot upgrades and be less about having the requirement to build them and whatnot. Like they'll probably slap one on there, but it could even be lower than the dragon tier, which is weird to say, but hopefully not. But we'll see. But all to say, it's a smaller part of the skill than the skill itself.
Yeah, they definitely needed content to take them, because they couldn't just stop at level 60 for being able to equip stuff. And I think just because like when you think about earlier in the skill, like where like for instance, the bronze salvaging hook starts at level 15, not somewhere in level 5 or something. So it's kind of off at the beginning, and I think that causes it to be off at the end, and you just get to the point where you have not just mahogany, you have these new woods entering in to make space for the other tiers of metals. So is it weird? Like people complain about that with smithing a lot. I just thought it was surprising that they ended up doing it. I think it was just to pad out. I think what they could do, and I'd be fine with it. I don't know what the community's response would be, is if as they release that stuff, they dropped down the requirements. I don't know if that would break anything, or as you mentioned, I don't know. They'll probably just, like, we already have precedent with smithing where like you have level 99 making a rune plate body, and then what is it, like 75 or 80 you're making a god sword. So it's like,
yeah, there are cases where you're dropping down. Yeah, essentially, yeah. So it could be similar in sailing. Yeah. But that being said, like 92 plus is still a lot of room to work with. Like you look at Slayer, right? And the monsters there, what give you like best in slot at 90 plus, and there's still like a lot there. You have Cerberus at 91, so those are your boots. Araxites for the necklace. You got Occult, and then you got like the dragon. You got the gloves, the ferocious gloves at 95, and then there's nothing above 95 still. So you drop one new item, all of a sudden it's 93, 94 sailing, like or you drop one that's 95 sailing, in the future you drop one that's 91 or 93. Like it's gonna be fine. But at the same time, most people are gonna have 99 because it's not a difficult skill to get to that
point. It doesn't matter what you make.
So in some ways it doesn't matter, because it's I mean, I was never like I'm not a PKer, so like attack levels don't really matter to me. A lot of times people will talk about like, well, the Fang is a tier 82 weapon, or Soul Reaper Axe is a tier 80, but this is a tier 78, blah, blah, blah. Like I like never, because people will always associate that with their power level. I've never thought that way.
Yeah.
about it. I've never looked at the Voidwaker and said, "Oh, Voidwaker's level 75 and Blade of Saldor's level 80. Shouldn't Blade of Saldor be like stronger?" I never think of that. It's almost arbitrary for me. The only purpose I see of attack levels and wielding is for pures,
Yeah, you're making a
right?
great argument to just remove the attack skill. It's
No, the attack skill is great for PvP. You need that for PvP. But otherwise, like, we all have 99 practically. Like, very few cases are you gonna, oh, I gotta grind to 82 to put on the best weapon you could put on is a Fang. Like, well, isn't that a great example? Like, the Fang is higher than the Scythe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I know the Scythe has a strength requirement, but like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was never too. I'm probably below the average in terms of caring what levels things are unlocked at.
Yeah, and you're comparing it to Slayer earlier is also very, because like Slayer is so slow compared to sailing, right? So if you have a super slow skill where you have requirements, up in the 90s that are progressively getting higher with every new one they release, it's totally. And, I wouldn't mind if there was a level 99 sailing requirement for something.
Yeah, what about the fact that, like, okay, I would say generally speaking, because you use smithing as an example of like a horrible example, right, of progression.
Yeah.
Crafting's a lot smoother, right,
mm-hmm.
in terms of its progression up to Zenite at 78.
Yeah.
But like, we don't have, what do we have? We have one level left of room there. But what I find also funny is the Zenite amulet is level 98, and then at level 86, you can make an amulet of Rancor, which requires the Zenite amulet.
Yes.
And it's like much lower level. So what's going on there? No, but there's clearly, like, we can have things like that. We can have a case where a dragon cannon is 92, but then to add an upgrade to the dragon cannon can actually be a lower level because I don't know. Like, we've seen that literally exists in crafting.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, maybe you have like you need the dragon.
It's more about getting to that level, getting the amulet first, or getting the dragon cannon first, and then after that, it's like, okay, well, you've gotten that, so you have the level, and then here's this arbitrary kind of crafting process in between, right?
I could get behind that, right? Maybe it's 70 sailings required for whatever Barrow's item comes out, but you have to at least get that Barrow's item to upgrade it from someone else that went out and farmed their dragon barrel and is selling it to you. Because I imagine as an iron, that's going to feel really bad if you put all this time in to salvage for your dragon barrel, and then you end up not even needing it later on. And that also goes into the whole discussion of what they end up doing with moving facilities. I know that's in the survey, but I like that there's a sink for it, because I mean, at some point, if they're just trading, I feel like they're going to, especially the barrels, they're just going to be super, super. They're not scarce at all. They're just going to be all over the place. So I like the idea that they are consumed when they're used. Hopefully that remains the thing going into the future, just because the items, I feel like the
dragon barrel will raise in price in the future.
Yeah, and it's also no one's doing combat right now. I mean,
no one's doing combat and everyone's salvaging. And in the future, more people will do combat, less people will be salvaging. So eventually it'll catch up, but it's just right now.
Yeah,
we're just on the opposite ends of the spectrum,
right? And I'd like to know where Jagex is at with combat too. Like, how much work did they anticipate?
It'll change things.
Because it was the video by Rose. Was it like the people that do the simulations? I don't know if you've seen that yet.
I don't think so.
I feel so strongly about this that like, you need to go watch it after this video, after we're done chatting. Rosie RS, so good what they were able to do with, I don't know what they use for the visual mock-ups, but very, very impressive what they were able to do. But like, if they get combat to where they had it in that video, just doing their simulations, again, no clue how they do those. I don't know if it's just animation or if they're using like a bunch of like heavy RuneLite mods, but like, it looks good. Like, they essentially turned the Leviathan fight into a fight with a boat.
Damn, this looks cool.
Yeah, it's very, very impressive. So if they go that route, I think sailing is totally fine with combat.
Dude, yeah. Right. I think combat, like, I think they'll make improvements, but we can't fully judge combat until we fight monsters that have mechanics. We don't have anything yet. When we have a monster on the water that we need to actively dodge attacks from, steer away from lightning, stuff like that, then it's going to be a whole different story. Then we can truly judge it. In the meantime, they can fix the ammo problem. They can maybe fix the damage scaling slightly, and then we'll see what happens when they release the boss next year.
Yeah, and all of this is coming from like when we look at sailing and how good sailing was just in general, and then we also look at over the past year, and then we could go the past few years. Consistently, this dev team has been delivering, and I am confident they're going to deliver with sailing as well. So, no updates in December. Well, no, very big update actually. They fixed the room pouch. Finally, the room pouch is back to being good, and we're waiting for January. So, Travag, thank you so much for your time. I don't think we anticipated going for 2.5 hours, but we went 2.5 hours.
Classic.
Thank you so much for joining me, man.
Yeah, thank you. That was very fun.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the WEEVs World Podcast. Please be sure to support Travag by subscribing to the TravagGames channel on YouTube. Thank you so much for listening. Have a fantastic day.